Last time on Square Roots, we desecrate the temple of the people Ming murdered, put some monsters down for a nap, and upgrade our ride. Meanwhile, General Cockiness lives up to his name when he cocks up his whole military coup. What an ass!
Hey everyone, and welcome to Square Roots, the classic RPG podcast. My name is Jim Banks. I am joined by Matthew Van Zandt.
Hello. Hello, Jim. Hello, listeners.
John, Mama Brandon. says Mama approximately 9,000 times.
He doesn't say it like that, though.
Yeah, you tell him, Mama. You tell him.
You wearing a black tie with your black shirt?
Yeah,
he's
You've been
a
giving
bartender.
bad fashion advice. Yeah, you look like a fucking Olive Garden waiter.
No, if I wore like a red tie, I'd look like a waiter.
He's a Maggiano's waiter. Come on.
He's like a
You need to get that polka dot tie out ASAP.
John Cusack Gross
It's not
Point
like
Blank
it's not like,
kind of tie.
Look, it's
It's textured.
From a distance, it might as well be black.
No.
From a
You gotta wear like some
distance,
color.
Your
Ugh.
tie might as well.
Should I was
be
thinking about because like my
black.
pants are black too. What if I change into my like dark blue pants?
I don't know
What
how
if you
the rest of
change
the
into a
song
dark
goes,
blue
Vanessa.
shirt?
And wore like my
blue
wore like
and
my
black?
dark blue suit jacket.
You didn't want to wear a jacket,
Yeah,
though.
but
It's
I'd rather wear a jacket
vest.
than look
Where
like
are
a
your
waiter.
waistcoats? Let's choose a nice waistcoat.
You just
for
need to
you
wear a loud tie to make it clear that you're not a waiter.
I have a pink one, but it's ugly.
What you need to do is, like, for a pop of color, just get a towel, drape it over your forearm, and
yeah,
carry
that
it
would be
around
great.
with you.
All right, I'm gonna change after this.
Yeah, you should.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe that Matt nagged Jim.
He's
out of
wearing
his
all
day
black
outfit.
on a date. Like, that's... Are you taking her to the cemetery, bro? Are you guys going to bang out to some AFI in the car?
At a cemetery?
Are you going to pick her up in a
I think
hearse?
it's cool.
I'm gonna mute Matt real quick.
Okay, that sounds good.
Also joined by Vanessa.
I'm Vanessa.
And this is a podcast where we roast Jim's date outfit.
Just like the
You're too pale to
entire
wear
party.
all black. It's like I had to tell Haley today. She was sending me pictures of hair dyes that she's interested in, like different hair colors. And one of them was all black with like blue tips. And I was like, honey, you can't have like matte black hair. Look at how pale your skin
Why?
is. Because you look like a ghost.
There's nothing wrong with looking like a cool emo goth. In fact, Jim, I
There
think you
is
should add
in
a
your
little eyeliner.
30s.
Also,
Well, Haley is not in her 30s.
On
What if I
this-
just wore like a nice pair of cargo shorts?
What?
yeah.
No. Oh, no.
I don't know who you're trying to make that joke at. I don't have a single
Some
pair of cargo
sneakers.
shorts, sir.
I do.
I know how much John loves cargo
I
shorts.
love my cargo shorts. I can put my PSP in there, my Switch. It's great. Also on this show,
Yeah.
Put a bunch of pizza rolls. in
we
the
play a classic RPG, a chunker at a time. And this is episode 8 for Lost Odyssey. So if you want to start at the beginning, go back a few episodes, and then you'll learn all about how Lost Odyssey starts, because this is the one where they get together and roast the bad guy for 5 minutes in the best scene in any video game we've ever played.
It's fantastic.
Matt, what did you think of that? The Gongora celebrity roast.
The cutscene at the ending with all the cutscenes was a lot of fun, particularly because John, as listeners may know, John equipped an item on Kayam that gave him a cute little crown, which made all of those cutscenes hilarious.
Yep.
Gongora, like when Gongora was like vamping and monologuing and all like purple dialogue, he was pretty entertaining, but he was fucking boring as a boss. He just turned into like a fucking bug.
I made
You guys.
I made this joke in the chat, but they like over animated his face, and he looks like Gordon Freeman's brother from Full
That's
Life
what I was thinking.
Consequences.
He has this Gary's mod thing about his
Yeah,
facial
he does.
expression.
You guys, this is not the part of the show where we talk about the game we played.
What part is it?
This is the part of the show where we talk about how we leveled
Can
up.
I talk about how I have the power?
Yes.
Please do.
Oh no!
I watched the first episode. I leveled up by watching the first episode of a new Netflix series that I didn't even realize was coming out this weekend until 2 o'clock in the morning when I turned on Netflix. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, the Kevin Smith canonical, I think, continuation of the original series that, as I remember it, was just a bunch of nonsense. And didn't actually have like an overarching plot, but apparently this is like an epilogue to the series, is how I believe it's been presented.
Is this new?
Oh.
It is all new animation and all new writing and voice actors and everything.
Would
Mark
you have
Hamill plays
preferred-
Skeletor.
Would you have preferred if they C-labbed it with old animation?
That would have been pretty
As
cool,
a
actually.
comedy
Yeah.
epilogue, if they gave it to somebody funny, then yeah, I think that would be amazing. I think that would be hilarious. I would love to see like a space ghosted or C-labbed He-Man. But this is instead just like a very anime-inspired He-Man.
It's very earnest, too, isn't it?
It is very earnest, and I'm going to be honest with you. I found it to be pretty bland, but it's only 5 episodes, so I'm
Hope
going
Kevin
to
Smith isn't listening.
power through it. It had a big twist at the end of episode 1 that I guess... Here's the thing. I know pretty much nothing about the He-Man lore. I think that He-Man came out when I was like a literal baby, so what I saw were reruns. You know what I mean?
I saw that they it came out when I was 2, or so, I think it was 81, so I was very little when it started. And I just remember, even as a little kid, hating the show because it was so. Matt came up with a good term for it: patronizing.
It's very patronizing.
The writing was so bad and so obvious.
It's written for kids, but it's not well written for kids. They've really figured,
as a kid, I hated it.
Hollywood media have really figured out how to write for kids today. There's a lot of amazing series out there for kids. Kids today don't know how good they have it. We had fucking He-Man that was like your dad, like, ha ha, thanks, son. It was terrible. I loved that movie for some reason. I still like that movie.
The live
Frank
action? Or
Langella as Skeletor
no, I hated
fucking
that
kills
movie.
it.
Who plays Skeletor?
Dolph
Frank
Lundgren
Langella.
as He-Man.
Oh, really?
He just eats that scenery alive. It looks, even though it doesn't look a lot like He-Man, it looks really good, I think. It's a good movie. Anyway,
I have a problem with anything where they take a canonical fantasy concept like a Monster Hunter or He-Man and then mix in like real world elements because they want it to be cheaper to film.
yeah. No, I understand that. That's fair. For sure, it has Courtney Cox in it. Very young Courtney Cox. Very attractive Courtney Cox.
Doesn't she play like a Earth woman who sees He-Man and she's like,
No,
oh my god,
she's got a boyfriend,
it's
and it's about He-Man comes to Earth and gets mixed up in her family and her boyfriend's problems, while at the same time trying to find a way back to Eternia so that he could stop Skeletor. And then when he does get back, Skeletor goes Super Saiyan Skeletor, and it's pretty fucking dope, actually. Like,
That almost sounds
legitimately
like the
pretty cool.
plot of Suburban Commando.
Anyway,
with Hulk Hogan.
that's my level up. It's not much. I didn't watch a lot of that show. I didn't love it. It's not blowing me away, but I don't have a big heart-on. That's not a good way to phrase that. I don't have a lot of nostalgia for He-Man, so not really. I mean, I'm interested, but it's kind of not really my bag. Don't they also have a second animated series coming out, or a live-action series, or something like that?
I don't know.
I'm fairly certain there's
I don't know
another
anything
He-Man
about that.
series in the works, like a modern reboot, maybe.
All I know is that the new She-Ra cartoon was dope.
It was.
And this is not related to that.
No, and it was.
And I think that's kind of a bummer.
That's okay. I would rather that have it be its own thing. It was way better than this, you know? But if they do reboot He-Man, I hope that they can kind of maybe work that in or work together with that. But anyway, we'll see. Anyway, that's it. That's me. That's He-Man. Who wants to go next? Let's call on John. Looks like he is ready to talk. John,
I am ready
how
to
did you
go.
level up, pal?
I've been watching a show called Low Key. I'm 5 episodes in. How many episodes are there total?
Low
Six.
key.
Just 6.
Oh, okay. So I'm
Like
almost done.
Lowkey.
Yeah.
Low
Yeah,
key.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about like this, because I was watching Low Key. And let's keep it low key to talk about Low Key. I'm enjoying it so far. It's pretty fun. I do find the thing that happens kind of creepy, but I don't want to talk about it because I guess that's spoilers. Right, Vanessa?
Yep.
Yeah, it's spoilers, but it's fun. I think they're not spoilery because it's like one of the first things you see. I love the little animated clock character.
Miss Minutes.
Is that what she's called?
She's called Miss Minutes. I love her too. I got a mug with her on
She
it.
is wonderful. I played a bit more of that Skyward Sword HD, and that game, it controlled pretty okay on Wii with the motion controls, but on Switch, it's not good enough. It's like, if you try to do the motion controls, it's just awful. I mean, I don't have good limb control. Let's just put that out there, that my limbs flail every which way. I am not good at telling them what to do. However, this game capitalizes on my not being able to control my body by, making it just worse with really bad motion controls. So I'm going to have to try it with... I wanted to try it with the motion controls because I thought it's so cool. You're swinging a sword just like Link is, but it's like...
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. It reminds me of trying to play Kinect games and being like, I love this idea, but this is absolute dog shit.
Someday we'll have the technology.
I think we do. Like the Wii Motion Plus controller was better than the Switch thingy, and apparently those ones you can get for the Steam VR stuff, like the hand thingies that you put on, apparently are great.
Oh. I don't want to interact with something in a virtual world where I can't feel it.
Oh, I know what you're
I
saying.
think that would be weird.
I know what you're saying.
Like,
feel it.
I mean, I'm as visual as anyone, I suppose.
Like the rough cloth of Anders is... Or not Anders, sorry. What's your boyfriend's name from Dragon Age? Alistair's tunic. You want to feel that between your fingers.
Yeah, I want to feel the grit of the road, as I disassemble his armor piece by piece.
So I've been also looking at there's a lot of like knockoff retro consoles you can get of varying quality that have emulators built in for Dreamcast and Saturn and stuff, and I'm kind of interested
also
in them.
a varying legality.
Well, the emulators are legal, and as long as you've dumped the ROMs from stuff you own as a personal backup, it is not against the law.
How many ROMs do you own as a personal backup?
Well, I definitely do have ROMs to games that I own legally, so I may not have dumped them myself, which is not, that's iffy. You're supposed to dump them yourself. But
Vanessa, it sounds like he's talking about doing something illegal.
Hey,
yeah, I need to make a quick phone call here.
You go ahead. But for me, for games that you can't buy anymore, that companies have dumped, who cares?
Hello? Mounties? Yeah, I have a Canada crime to report.
If you can't buy them and they don't give a shit about the games anymore, just play them. It's fine.
Wow, crime endorsement.
Because companies don't care about their past, and then they're like, oh, we've re-released the games. Enjoy the shitty cell phone font we put the menus in. It's like, oh, come on, games.
We should make it clear that Johnny's opinion does not serve as a valid defense in court should you be served with a summons for downloading something
I told
illegal,
you to dump it off
fines
the game.
can range between like $2,500 to $50,000 or more. So do it at your own risk.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
It's fine. If they don't try to sell the game anymore and have abandoned it, it's not hurting anyone. That's what I'm saying.
It's not just that it's not hurting anyone. That's a piece of art, and it should sit unused by anyone because, I don't know, because it's
They haven't
legally
figured out a way to
nebulous.
commercialize it again.
Yeah,
They don't
fuck
want
that.
to. They don't care. All the companies that made these games are now like owning pachinko parlors and making
Hey
slot
guys,
machines.
if they don't care, I don't care. Yeah, I know. It's what a bummer. Fucking
I
Konami,
do
come on.
wish that there was a way to access all this vaporware in a nice legal
But
way.
Vanessa,
Yeah,
you would be
I agree
very
with that.
happy to hear. When I was messing around in a thing that literally no one cares about, I figured out how to emulate Roland music. Like, okay, I guess there's an illegal factor because it is from dumped Roland ROMs from a 30-something-year-old device to get the music working. But these are games that
Crimes.
These are games that I legally purchased on Steam and Good Old Games. So the games are fine. And it's really cool listening to old games like from the 80s with this music that sounds like CD quality. And it's almost jarring because the games look so old that you expect them to have like bleep bloop music, but
Oh,
they
yeah.
have like really nice orchestrated music. Like King's Quest 4 sounds amazing, and so does Space Quest 3.
Hey, speaking of game music, we've arrived, gamers.
Oh, really?
It's our time to shine on the international stage. Did y'all see about that?
yeah.
I heard about it. I didn't watch it because these Olympics are a farce and shouldn't be going on.
I don't agree with
Well,
that. I
I
think the
sort of
Olympics
agree with
are
that.
a huge, important event, and we should do them as much as we can safely when possible. I love the Olympics, John.
I'm
sorry
They're
that
a
you're Canadian and
boondoggle
you
that takes
are-
taxpayer money and funnels it towards private contractors and very rich people. And
Bad at everything that doesn't involve ice when it comes
And
to
also-
sports from your country, and so you
But
don't
also
understand what it's
all
like
of
to win all
those-
the golds. I mean,
All of those quickly built Olympic facilities just end up abandoned and
Yeah.
in ruin.
That's true.
as someone from Montreal, I can tell you this is very true. That building started
I
falling
do
apart.
agree. Yeah, there are some logistical problems often with the Olympics. However, seeing the Parade of Nations, all these people
In the
from
middle
all
of
over
a
the world.
pandemic, and they're on commercial
Okay, well,
flights.
take the pandemic. I'm
In
talking
this
in
economy.
general.
What do you guys think about this jacket?
jacket? I don't think you should wear a
it's Jim's
jacket. Just put
fashion
on a
design.
tie with some color, brother.
Do you have a black
Do you have a
jacket
blue
on now?
tie?
I can't
It was
even
a
see your
blue- he had a
jacket.
blue jacket.
I don't know why you're trying to mix blue and black. Just put on a crisp white dress shirt.
I
Yeah.
have one, but I don't
No,
know.
then
it
he
seems
still
Put on
looks
boring.
like
a
a waiter.
yellow tie.
No,
Yellow.
not with black. Put on a blue
No,
tie.
He's gonna look like a ska
A blue
man
tie?
if he does
Yeah,
that.
blue or green.
No.
All right.
Put on your crisp white shirt and keep the same tie. You
Jim,
want
you
to
know
look
that
boring.
Vanessa's trying to dress you like a magician. Is that what you want to look
are
like?
totally right. Oh, wow. I didn't think about that.
Not a white shirt with like a. What about like a skinny black tie? I look like a
What
ska
about a
guy.
hat? Like a top hat? You could like
you just
pull,
you
like,
can't
Yeah,
wear
what about a
all
top
black.
hat?
You need to break that. You need to break that up.
Yeah,
Either
that's
put
why
on
you
some
need to have
khaki
some
pants
white
or
gloves.
some gray
White
Put on your
pants.
white dress gloves,
Put on some gray or some blue pants.
frilly cravat,
put on
a tie
a
pin
tie.
that's like a mysterious
Okay.
red brooch, and a long tail jacket.
A tie with color.
Yeah, maybe like
A
a
crisp
coat
white
with
shirt.
tails.
Yeah, a coat with tails.
If you could put on a
Cummerbund?
cummerbund.
And some
Yeah.
wingtip shoes and a cummerbund.
All right. Who's next to level up?
I'm not done with
Hopefully
my
nobody, because holy
Olympics
shit.
reporting. The Olympics, they used a whole bunch of video game music for their Parade of
They
the
did. They used a lot of
Nations.
Final Fantasy themes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Had Final Fantasy, Dragon's Quest, Kingdom Hearts was in there, the Olympus Coliseum theme, which I thought was pretty
People
funny.
came out.
Jim Frog's theme
People-
from Chrono Trigger.
People came out. Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
And Robo's
People,
theme.
people came out and had like mango bubbles over their head, like thought bubbles.
Yeah, like the signs that said the name of the country looked like a
Oh,
manga
that's cute.
So
thing.
Japan is really
Yeah.
And then
leaning into that. demographic,
Sora
I
pointed
guess.
his keyblade at the torch and yelled, "Fire!" and then it lit.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Vanessa, how did you level up, by the way?
I am on a
Wait, is this
vacation of a
Not
sort.
your level up? I don't understand what's happening.
She interrupted
I
mine.
haven't done my level up
To
yet.
talk about the Olympics?
Yeah, to share some breaking news that's relevant to our show and our listeners. I'm on a sort of vacation. I am away from my home, which means I'm away from my consoles. And that puts me away from my primary form of entertainment. So instead of doing my gaming, I have been watching a whole bunch of stupid movies. Yay!
Like what?
And I'm going to talk about the 4 stupidest movies that I watched.
4?
And they were
Why didn't you take your
Cold Creek
PlayStation?
Manor, Bad Samaritan, Murder at 1600, and The Tomorrow War. Bad Samaritan stars David Tennant
Okay.
as an American,
Okay.
and he sucks. He's a bad Samaritan.
Does he have a
And
bad American
it's-
accent?
Yes. And it's essentially a extended episode of like Your Criminal Minds or something like that. It's dumb. Jim is back in a crisp white shirt, and I am delighted to see it. And he has a black t-shirt on underneath just to show that he's badass.
Blue tie?
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
that's
All right.
nice.
Figured it out.
I love Olympics and Olympics love me. I don't love them. I think they're just okay, but it does move me to see people from all over the world together in peace. I watched a movie called Murder at 1600.
It's old, right?
It's very
Is that the
old.
one with
Well, it's not
Wesley
very, very
Snipes?
old. It
That's
is.
not
It's
good.
from 1997. I don't think I had probably seen it since the 90s.
love Wesley
It
Snipes.
has Wesley Snipes and Diana Lane.
Do you see him in that vampire show, Matt?
and-
Blade?
No,
Blade?
the one that I like with the vampires. What We Do in the Shadows. He's really good in that.
Is Wesley Snipes in that?
Play
You know, I
show?
tried to
I
watch it
didn't know
several
that.
times, and it never hooked me, and it really bums me out because I want to like it so much, and I love that movie.
To me, it took like most of the first season to really get into it.
Yeah, I mean,
and
The
Try it
second
again.
season
it's
is
really
great.
good.
Second season
I
is
need to
great.
try it again.
And he does play. He is playing Blade. They just never say his name.
Oh, really?
That's amazing.
I mean, I love Blade. Blade is a fucking fantastic movie. So is Blade 2, other than how bad the CGI is at times.
Blade 3 is woo.
Yeah,
that is
I saw that in the
T-Rash.
theater, and it was
Ryan Reynolds,
not
by the way.
good. Yeah, Ryan
Yikes.
Reynolds. Anyway, sorry, Vanessa.
What about
that's
Mahershala
okay.
Ali as
Murder at
fucking
1600
Blade?
is about a murder
things
at
about
the White House. It's one of those, like, it feels like an Ashley Judd movie.
Ooh, it
although
does.
Ashley Judd is not in it.
There's
but it's like
definitely
one
a
of
tunnel
those.
under the White House involved, right?
There
I
is,
knew it.
yeah, for sure.
I love that movie.
And it's it's fun. If you like that genre, and I kind of do,
Yeah.
you might like that. Cold Creek Manor. Cold Creek Manor had one of the internet's current biggest enemies in it. Can you guess who it is?
Marilyn Manson.
No, it's Stephen Dorff. Everyone
Also
hates
of
Stephen Dorff
Blade.
these days because he said that Marvel movies suck. But you know what, Stephen Dorff? This movie sucked. It's called Cold Creek Manor.
Hey, I like Stephen Dorff.
I like Stephen Dorff too. He was also great in
tend to
Blade.
like him as well. But I did not like this movie. It also stars Dennis Quaid and Sharon Stone and a very young Kristen Stewart.
I bet he's just jealous because, like, if he was a little younger, or if he had broken in later, I bet he could. He's one of those guys that could have been a Marvel character, and he's like, I could be a billionaire, and instead I
sure.
was in like 3 movies, and nobody knows who
Well,
I am.
Yep.
Actually, so Vanessa, you said you watched the first season of True Detective, right?
Yeah, I did watch that as well, but that's not part of my
True
level up. but
Dick
yeah,
Well, I will
sure.
say
ahead.
Stephen Dorff.
Tell everyone.
Stephen Dorff is in the 3rd season of True Detective, and he's great in it.
Oh, I heard the 3rd season was
Third
okay.
season,
I heard the
Mahershala
2nd
Ali
season
and
is
Stephen
not
Dorff.
good.
That's
Good
the little
times.
I
man
love
that
Mahershala Ali.
plays golf. Is that right?
Yep, that's who it is. And I watched The Tomorrow War, with Mass Effect's own Yvonne Stravinsky.
Matt's
Miranda
personal favorite
herself.
Christopher Pratt.
Oh, that's
What?
Miranda's
No.
voice
Say
actress?
that, you'll
God.
get canceled.
I can't say that. I'm not scared of being canceled, and I know that he's a little weird, but he'll always be Andy from Parks and Rec to me, and he's one of the funniest people on the planet. I've never laughed so hard in my life as I have at some of his jokes, so he gets a pass.
It's
Also, the
fine.
rest
He
of
doesn't.
them-
He doesn't hate me for my choice to be homosexual.
Does he? He's not one of
Yeah.
those.
Yes.
He just hates the sin,
Oh, he
not the
is?
sinner.
Yes,
I don't know.
is.
Come on. I don't know if that's true. Prove that to me.
Well, he's just a active member and vocal supporter of a church
Okay.
that takes that
That's
standpoint.
not a fair.
But he
That's
is
not.
savvy enough to
whatever.
not say
You know
it.
what? You can live in a world where people aren't crazy about their faith and will support it even if it does things they don't personally agree with, but it ain't the real world.
Yeah, but he's also had plenty of opportunity to publicly, say, no, I don't believe that.
I feel like if I was in his
And-
situation, I would probably also just be like, nothing I say will make anything okay, and I should just not.
I think you're doing a lot of work for Mr. Pratt. there.
Yeah, Matt, I'm gonna have to agree with Vanessa here.
All right, well, I'm a homo racist. Okay, I'm a homicist.
We're not,
not
we're not
I mean, I-
canceling you.
Please cancel me.
Yeah.
I'm begging you.
Put me out of my misery.
I mean, I watched this movie. I'm gonna watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'm not like a pure little
That's true.
little
That's fair.
patch of snow over
I
here.
gotta admit that it's
You know,
kind of
All right, I'm
like
done defending Chris Pratt. You're welcome. Drag him.
Him-
Drag me. It's fine.
it kind of killed Andy for me as a character in Parks and Rec, and then just like the last 4 years killed Ron. What was his name? The boss.
Nick Offerman, Ron Swanson.
Yeah,
What
Ron-
happened to him? I thought he was
Nick Offerman is fine, but no, it's Ron Swanson. Where it's like, oh yeah, Ron Swanson. Like as much as Offerman says Swanson wouldn't have voted for Trump, Swanson would have voted for Trump.
Probably.
Mhm.
Oh no! I tied my headphone cord in
Yeah,
my
I was gonna
tie.
note that. I was watching.
You're
you
not
do
going
it. I
out
did
for
say
like an
anything.
hour. Fucking take your tie off. God, you're weird. You're overthinking
Just go to your
this.
date with your headphones on.
Your computer
That'd be
dragging
really
my
funny.
10-foot headphone cable.
Yeah.
We're 30 minutes in
You're
and
like,
still
I'm a
leveling up. I'm not editing this
podcaster.
episode if we don't wrap this up now.
Okay.
I'm not
Oh, wait, I have to
done
go yet.
leveling
Oh yeah,
up.
Vanessa has to go.
Okay.
now.
Wrap up, Vanessa.
The Tomorrow War, it wasn't good. But Chris Pratt is talented and charismatic. I'll hand you that, Matt.
Well, I refuse
but-
to believe it, and I'm going to dox you because you said something bad about a movie I haven't seen.
Wow.
I know. I'm a bad person.
Wow.
That's how we handle things in the age of the internet.
Yeah, that's true. It was just like it was boring. It didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, it looked like it was
was
gonna be.
tonally kind of all over the place. It wanted to be like a Starship Troopers maybe, or a serious sci-fi movie.
I got that one
And-
confused with Old Man's War, the I believe Netflix
Man's
series, a forthcoming based on the John Scalzi books. So when I first saw this, I thought it's the most amazing thing ever. It's Chris Pratt in an Old Man's War prop movie, but it wasn't.
No, it's Chris Pratt in a movie about
Some dumb shit.
people from the future drafting people from the past to fight a war in the future.
That's a stupid premise.
It is a stupid premise.
It does sound like a book written for tweens.
Yeah, and it just the ending didn't really nothing happened. I guess I would say like it's the kind of movie where you're watching it and because there's like time travel involved and stuff, you're like, "Oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's that." And then ultimately it just didn't lead anywhere and that was disappointing. Oh, I also watched Tenet another time.
good?
Oh, did
movie.
you? I don't understand what that movie is supposed to be about. I haven't seen it.
Eh.
Yeah, it seems to be.
I like Chris Nolan in general quite a bit. I didn't care very much for Interstellar. I know that's an unpopular opinion, and I didn't care very much for this. It feels like a James Bond movie tonally, which is fine. I love James Bond, and I tend to love time shenanigans, but it just didn't have like a reason for you to really care about any of the characters, and they sort of tried to have grounded protagonists, but then a cartoonish villain, and that kind of didn't work, as a balance. And yeah, it just like it was weird. And the weirdest thing about it is the sound mixing was terrible. And I thought, oh, maybe it's just me. But then I went and I read a whole bunch of reviews for it, and they were like, oh, the sound mixing is terrible, and you can't hear most of the dialogue. So it wasn't just me.
Weird.
Yeah, it was very strange. And I read like 3 different reviews that were talking about
It's probably
that.
like meant to be in like Dolby Atmos.
This is the movie that he
Yeah,
was
that's
obsessed with everybody seeing in theaters because he swore up and down it would be better that way, and it doesn't sound like it.
I mean, it might have been. I don't know. It was fine. Like, it had some good action sequences that probably would have been nice to see in a theater. But as far as, like, it's just like it had this score that was omnipresent and drowned out some of the dialogue, and I thought that was a really strange choice. Especially because a lot of the dialogue is like, we're going to try to explain this very complicated premise we've come up with, and you won't be able to hear what we're saying.
I feel like that's common in Nolan movies. All right.
Jim.
I'll be quick. Today I beat Cyberpunk 2077.
Wow.
I did the Pan Am romance option.
Oh no!
and
Is that that's a big spoiler for me, you fucking asshole.
Why? You said you tried to do it and she rejected you.
She did. Is she straight?
Yeah, so that, like, and you can choose to have your romance stuff factor into the latter part of the game, so I did that, and I got because I did some reading about the endings after, I think I got the best ending, like the best in terms of what
Nice.
can happen to your character, so I'm excited about that. And then towards the latter part of the game, right before I finished, I got this katana that does like 975 DPS, which is amazing. Even the final boss, I cut him up in like a minute and a half.
That's amazing. You know, it really bums me out that I wish that I could respec. I really don't love my loadout, basically. Like, I focused a lot on intelligence and assault. So I really am very good at, like, fights, but I find them kind of boring. Like, it's a lot of, like, sit behind the desk and, like, hit that one with a quick hack and then hit that one with a quick hack and then memory wipe that one so he doesn't realize that I just attacked him and then stab him in the back and then...
Yeah, I just run from enemy to enemy and cut their arms and legs and heads off, and it's very fun.
Wow.
So yeah, I beat it. I will say that I actually really like the way that the story parts of the game are written. A lot of the side stuff can be kind of cringy and edgelordy, but the story stuff was actually very well written, especially the ending, which I thought was very sweet and very hopeful.
The game's very engrossing, and it makes a lot of the story stuff, even the side stuff, the non-cringy stuff, that's not really that important to the main game, really interesting and fun because it's so absorbing. You really get sucked into that world.
Yeah, and a lot of the characters you do consistent side missions for turn out to be like, it starts as one thing and turns into something totally different. Like, I got hired by one guy to like murder this prisoner who like killed his brother or something.
Oh yeah.
And then ended up sparing the prisoner guy, and he's actually like he's in prison and he found Jesus and he's trying to make amends. They're making a reality show about him. Like, it turned into something totally different. And it's really neat. The game is
I
cool.
talked about that one in our chat actually because it's
Oh,
not
did you?
they're not making a reality show about him. They're making a brain dance of his crucifixion.
Yeah,
I took part in his
crucifying himself.
crucifixion. I nailed him to the cross. It was pretty fucked up.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a good game. I liked it. I'll probably do some more side stuff, but
Can't wait to do the bonus
it's
stuff
good.
about it.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. Okay, that's how I leveled up. Let's talk about the game.
Jeremy, you gonna bail now?
Yeah, I'm gonna bail now.
All right, well
I
then
just,
why don't you just
Gonna
say
go.
goodbye?
If I change my outfit again, I'll pop back on. Get your guys' opinion.
Be right back.
You should change that shirt. You look like a waiter.
Do I?
It's a white shirt.
That's all I have is black or white, Matt.
All right, never mind. You look great. Get some color ties.
the white is the right
Get some ties with color in them. That's not just like a hint of color. Oh, you know what? Your arm has a lot of color. That helps. You should pretty much always be matching your ties to your tattoos.
Always be popping the.
You should probably match your glasses to your tattoos too.
I'm gonna take my glasses off. I'm gonna wear contacts.
You look cool with your glasses on.
Thanks, man.
You look good with your glasses on. That's a good look. Yeah, what's happening?
Glasses.
Why are you so concerned about this? Are you asking her to marry you tonight?
No, but I'm dressing up.
That's cool because I have a question to ask you tonight, and I didn't want it to. Things to get
All right, good, because that would have made the latter part of the night very awkward.
Yeah, it's good to ask that when he's like leaving early from the show anyway, so you have the time to recover.
All right, guys, have fun.
Jim, thanks for coming on for the level up. We'll talk to you tomorrow night.
Ask her to go steady.
All right, guys. Well, this is pretty much Matt relax time because I got nothing to say about this chunker. It's long and boring, and I didn't enjoy watching it until the end.
Sad.
If this
We
episode,
want to hear what you have to say.
I don't have anything to say. That's what I'm saying.
Interject. He'll interject when there's stuff he wants to talk about.
I'm gonna put my feet up, and I'm going to probably turn Legend of Mana on my Switch.
Okay.
I do.
Wow.
Can we talk about Legend of Mana tonight? Because that game is good.
No, we'll
It's
talk
not
about
good,
that
but it's
next
No.
time.
All right.
Let's open up the Dream Journal.
The Dream Journal.
Now, we did mention before, this is the chunker where we do the ending, but we got stuff to talk about before we go to the ending.
We do. We have some bits and bobs to
Some
do.
bips and bops.
So let's talk about these bips and bops. Maybe some of us did some of them.
Yeah.
Maybe some of us did some of the
Mhm.
others. And maybe some of us, like Matt and Jim, did none of them.
Mhm.
But you know what? Video games is
Mhm.
hard, and we shouldn't make fun of them for not being able to play
Mhm.
one.
Mhm.
Because, the buttons start to hurt your little
Mhm.
fingers.
He's got to think about, like, what do I use on this monster?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It has this whole, matching
Mhm.
thing of, you have to remember which elements affect which other elements. It's
I
hard.
do wish this game had the Shin Megami Tensei list of what they're after you know how it fills in as you fight the monsters, so you can just go back and be like, oh yeah,
Uh-huh.
I'll use ice on this guy. And
Oh, yeah, and then, it shows their
Yeah.
weakness. That would be
Yeah.
nice.
but the first one I don't think I did. What's Backyard?
Backyard is a fight club at the very bottom level of that abandoned
Oh.
apartment complex.
I didn't do this.
Neither did I.
All right.
Moving
I also
on.
forgot to go back and talk to the gambler. Did you go talk to the gambler?
Oh, no, I never went back, and I bet he had some money for me, too.
Or just ask for more
Or
money.
else he'd be like, I lost all the money. And I'll be like,
Yeah.
fine.
The Forgotten Cave I did do. Now,
You did.
we talked about this a bit on the last one, I think, right?
We did. You took off your earmuffs,
Mhm.
and I gave a spoiler because you thought that we went back to this cave to battle Anara. Instead, what happens, it's pretty great. We get there, and we see this, floating worm, I guess you'd call it.
Mhm.
And Jansen's like, oh, it's Anara. And then Seth is like, that's not Anara, you idiot.
I was like, whoa, so is Anara actually a big floating... I would have loved that if that was Anara and wasn't this majestic beast, but this weird floating creepy worm thing.
It would have been great.
Uh,
I'll be right back. I'm hearing an echo. I think my phone might still
I
be on.
hear it as
I'm gonna
well. I
check.
thought you just went into the parlor. So Kellolon Island, while Vanessa is off, I'll start talking about this. So it's actually like the Kellolon village, not an island, but it is in the Kellolon forest, and the Kellolons are, I'd always thought they were like weird leafy things, or plant soldiers with little half acorn helmets or something, but this village says it is canon they are frogs. So Kellolons are frogs. And you get there and they're like, oh, gross, there's all these froggy things. And they don't seem to be mad that you've killed dozens and dozens of them. There's a seal.
They don't look like frogs.
I didn't think they were.
You can't just say something's a frog when it's not a frog.
Apparently, they're frogs. So they're like, oh,
Nah.
we're having a Kellolon fight club. You want to join in the tournament, and one of the Kellolon King is actually the best white mage in the world. And
Yeah, and that gets Cooke real excited.
she's like, well, I want to be a good white mage. So she does want to join the tournament, and you do. And like at first the battles are like super, super easy. Like the level, I think one of the first ones you fight is the level 99 Kellolon. Except he's described as a self-proclaimed level 99 Kellolon. And
Right.
she does defeat him in one hit. It is fantastic. But they do get better as they go on, and then
There's the guy, like the human man, who thinks he's a Kellolon.
it does reveal during the course of the fight that he is married to a Kellolon. He has a Kellolon wife, and that's why he thinks he's a Kellolon.
Well, I thought it was the other way around, that he thought he was a Kellolon, and therefore he married a Kellolon.
Oh, maybe. I thought he was just trying to justify being into frogs.
Oh, maybe. He's like Kelolon King.
Exactly. So he does not his wife. No, not going to get into that.
What?
John.
But so she gets to the last round of the tournament, and guess who the last round champion is?
Cooke?
It's Mac.
What?
Whoa.
He's there, and so that's who she's got to fight. And so I think I did this wrong because Mac's like, well, we don't actually want to fight, but then I just used like powerful magic on him, and he's like, well, you hit me for real, no fair. So I think there might be a way of doing it where you don't actually hit him or something. I just didn't have patience, and I just smashed him with a good attack, and he got a little upset.
I'm not sure because I didn't do this. Y'all, so this place I'm staying in, it's got a cat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
It does it?
in the bedroom, there are these under the bed drawers. And I noticed as I was sitting here recording that one of them was open, and I didn't open it. So I thought, oh, the cat must have like pulled it open. And I pushed the drawer shut. And then I started to hear a little binky bonkin from under the bed. And turns out I had shut the cat right into that drawer.
Oh.
But I opened it again, and he came out, and he was fine.
That's
Wow.
good.
Vanessa admits to animal cruelty on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like the time. Well, no, that's not a good story to tell on the podcast.
Don't tell a story about animal
Yeah.
cruelty. I don't want to hear it. It's like the time he was dressed as a puppy and
Nope.
no.
So you do defeat Mac, I guess. I did it harshly. And then you fight the Kellolon King, and the Kellolon's like, and he's this giant Kellolon that is very immense, and he's like, if I defeat you, then I shall take you as my bride. And what do you
Oh,
want?
boy.
And Cooke is like, well, I'll take your most powerful magic, sir, if I defeat you. He's like, well, good, but you know I'm undefeatable and you will be my bride. And then the rest of your party's like, she's a child. I think Sarah says that she's a child. He's like, okay, well, I'll take you both as my bride because you're more of an appropriate age.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Marrying the grandmother and the granddaughter? That's not
Yeah, that's a
cool.
bit weird. So then you defeat the Kellolon King, and the Kellolon King is like, well, here's my magic. And that's the end of our story. She gets her
Yeah.
very good white magics. I don't know what it actually gives. I don't remember. Is it shyness? No, because I found that somewhere else. I don't remember. What is magic research errands? Because I did not do this one.
I don't know. Moving on.
The Newmara Atoll, we did both do this. There is a lake near Newmara, right?
It's an
I
atoll.
guess it looked like a lake.
It's an atoll.
Okay, you're an atoll.
Oh, wow.
And you get there, and Ming's like, oh, this is where the magic beast resides. And the magic beast is very wise, and it's the one who told me that I should become the Queen of Newmara. Let's go check in, see how they're doing. I feel bad. I haven't talked to the magic beast in like 30 years since the magic Industrial Revolution.
When she gave up her magic powers. How is Matt hearing us? He doesn't have his headphones on.
He's got his little dingy doos.
Oh, his dingy doos.
AirPods.
So the beast has not been talked to in 30 years. I guess is it 30 years ago when Gongora tricked Ming into losing her memories, and that's why she didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
So the beast is not happy to see them.
No, the beast is heckin' mad.
Always
It's
mad.
like a sort of flat Loch Ness monster. And you do have to fight it. This is kind of a tricky fight because it uses a move called Despair, Pain, Melancholy, something like that, that reduces your entire party to just one hit point. Or maybe, in fact, it kills you all, but I had Persistence equipped, so it didn't actually kill me. It just reduced them all to one hit point.
And fortunately, Persistence does help with that because that will let you survive a fatal attack.
Yeah.
And now you've got like Zephyrus, so you can heal yourself pretty fast, especially if you have a couple of healers.
Yeah, just keep those healings going every turn. Whack it real hard, and it doesn't have a huge amount of hit points. And then you get, as a reward, a piece of equipment that lets you have 10, count them, 10 extra skills.
What's this piece of equipment called?
It's called 1,000 Years of Memory.
Yeah, it is.
I use this on everybody because then you can equip all
It's
the good
absurd.
things. Yeah.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you teach it to all your immortals, and then we also pick up in the Forgotten Cave, you can find something that makes you immune to any status attacks, and then get all, except for Earth, I never found an Absorb Earth, but you can find Absorb Wind, Absorb Fire, Absorb
And
Water.
Prince Sparklepony does have an item that makes him that nullifies all elemental damage.
Yeah, Complete Defense, which only works for a few turns, but
No, he
man, does it
he
work.
also has one that's just nullifies all. It's
Oh,
not
yeah,
complete
yeah,
defense.
that's right, I forgot.
So
Yeah.
that one's pretty useful as well. That's why I kept him actually for the end game stuff because I found he was more useful than Ced because he did more damage.
I used Ced, but I also got Ced's ultimate weapon, so he was doing a lot of damage with that.
I admittedly did not do that, which is the next chunker.
Yeah. Ced's Pirate Fortress. You go to this pirate fortress. It's sort of in the Arctic, which is strange. I consider pirates to be more of a Caribbean kind of thing. I don't know where that association came from, but that's what's in my head. So you go there, there's one guy there, and he's like, "Oh, Captain, all the crew has gone away." And then it's just a matter of going to different spots in the world and getting your crew back together. Once you do, they make you a very special gun, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, admittedly, I didn't do this. I really wanted to, but I just ran out of time. Like, I was cutting it pretty close finishing this game, so yeah.
You find a crew member in the formerly spooky town. He's playing with some toys, and the children are like, "We want to play," and he's like, "No, it's my toy," and Ced gives him a scolding. You find one in the Kellolon village being attacked by Kellolons.
That one's
and
great.
you find one in the bottom of the sea.
What?
Yeah, you just you go to one of those bubble spots, and it's one of the crew members.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, "Oh, thank goodness you found me. I was at the bottom of the sea." That's the way you get his gun. It's pretty easy.
And also, it's pretty much exactly a level from Vagrant's story.
Oh, is
Yes.
it?
Remember when you're following those like fireflies and they all go in a certain direction, you have to go the opposite way or something?
Yeah, I remember every part of that game because I played all of that.
Well, it is exactly like that. So it's sort of a Zelda-style puzzle where you're going through this maze and you have to follow you go the opposite direction of the little lights. It's pretty fun. And at the end, there's a boss, right?
There is a boss. It's like a big old dragon. The reason that you're there in the first place is that Jansen says that it's where the most powerful black magic is, and everyone's like, let's go get it, and Jansen's like, heck no. But they convince him, and then you get there and he's like, see, there's a big dragon, I told you. And they're like, you never said anything about a dragon at the end of this.
So he says it's the most powerful magic. I'd say that, I mean, on the last boss, it does like 3,000 to 4,000 damage, which is very good. But like Gamble, which takes 1/15 as much MP, works almost as well. Gamble is a very broken and overpowered spell that I could use till the end of the game.
What does Gamble do?
Random damage.
Gambles.
Yeah, you gamble on random damage, but the damage is based on your magic skill. So as you level up, the random, like it goes from 1 to 1,000 at the beginning to the end. It's like 1 to 3 or 4,000. So it's super useful. If you cast Mindus on yourself, it does even more damage, I believe. Ooh. So very useful.
Yeah, you also get the blue dragon eye accessory, which teaches you absorb water.
All these absorb items are great. There's the Temple of Enlightenment. I did about half of this, but I was like, I don't have time.
I did less than that. It's super long. It's exactly like the ancient temple, except longer. And I don't know why you'd want to do it.
Well, because it's like every character has their own special area. Oh, okay, that sounds bad. Every character has like a end game quest associated with them, and this is Mac's end game quest.
Oh,
because he's tied after getting connected to the Eastern Spirit tribe in the forest. He has a special connection to them, and he feels drawn inside the temple.
That's right. Yeah. I considered doing it, but then I read that if you do it, you'll end up at like level 70 by the end, and then the last boss is way too easy. It's a real hit 'em with your blitz ball.
But I do love that. I just didn't have time.
Me too. Yeah, same. Because as I mentioned, am on a sort of holiday and did not want to bring the Xbox with me, so I finished it before I left.
So with the Xbox One, I think there is a way you can play it remotely too.
Interesting. I did actually find out when I got here that there is an Xbox One here. But I don't want to play it. It's not mine.
So the next area is the Terrace Cave.
Yes. Way back in the day at the ancient temple, there was this creature called the Money. Do you remember that? The Money, it sort of looks like a monkey. It will steal money from you, and then it will also do an attack where it flips a coin, and if it's heads, you get more money, like raining down from heaven, and if it's tails, you get rocks falling down on your head. So you get to this cave, and you see like a trail of coins. Each one is one coin. So you pick up one coin, pick up another one, and you can follow this trail all the way to a chest. Once you get to the chest, you fight the boss Money. It's very easy. It has like 9,000 hit points. And when you're done, you get something that you use at the backyard, which I never went to, so I don't know what it actually does. But I liked following the coins.
I don't remember the coin. I did this area, and I don't remember coins at all.
You have to have fought the Money at the ancient temple and had some kind of prerequisite thing. Let me see.
Well, I didn't do it right.
If I can figure out what it was, yeah. If the Money is hit but not killed, it will respond with an attack called Steal and Heal, where it takes your money. So you have to have had it take your money, and then you're like following
all the things I could do If I had a little money, it's a rich man's world.
It's a rich man's world. It's a rich man's world. Tutton's Royal Seals.
You do collect his trick-performing seals that become a summon Tulton can use. Each one has a different
Johnny, you know that's not what happened.
That's just what I want to happen. Can you imagine? That would have been so cute. Each one has like a little different trick.
Adorable. Mm-hmm.
But I did do this because I noticed we talked about them throughout the game. It's like, hey, you keep seeing these things. I'm sure they're a thing you come back to do later. And so you can go back to all, they're basically in all the dungeons. You can go back and do them later. There's one in the Kellolon village, and you do them. And after you got them all, you go back to the ruins of the palace in Ura, and he does go talk to the father statue and say, I got all the seals, and then he opens up the seals, and it summons a ghost horse and knight.
Ghost horse?
Ghost horse and
so
knight.
There's a bunch of seals, and you cut their tummies open?
No!
And that summons a ghost horse?
No.
Oh, I get it. You club them.
Yeah, exactly.
They're babies.
So, yeah, ghost horse. Fiery ghost horse, Vanessa.
Yeah. I liked it. You can beat it. It will teach you ultimate hit, which is like a super skill for Totten. It essentially will immediately vanquish any enemy.
Except for bosses?
But it takes like 8 turns to
Ultimate
load up.
hit looked a lot like the hero's hit, one of the hero's big ultimate attacks in Dragon Quest XI.
It also reminds me a bit of Final Fantasy XII's, like, you know, the limit breaks in Final Fantasy XII?
Oh,
Looks
yeah.
a bit like that.
The game is smush in my mind. I don't remember a thing about it.
I like this actually. Yeah, because you're fighting this guy and he's like, I just want to test. You know, it's the usual RPG thing. He's like, I want to test you and see if you are as brave as you need to be. And Tulton's like, I will do it, even if I am a cringy weakling. I can still do it.
I'm a cringy, weaky coward, and I can do it. At one point, you're supposed to use his skill Complete Guard, but I didn't have that yet, so I just defended, and I managed to survive anyway.
Oh yeah, I think I did this. I mean, I had it. I just defended because he said he's gonna use an attack. Or maybe I did use. I don't remember. Because I definitely had it at that point and taught it to everyone because it's super useful.
Yeah.
2 wrongs make a right.
And, well, we should say that you get the most powerful sword in the game, which only Totten can equip unless you have
royal equipment.
Immortals use or learn royal equipment, which I did, and so I gave Kaim that because I didn't want to bother getting Kaim's real ultimate weapon, which you have to go through the Eternal Temple to get.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get that either.
2 wrongs make a right.
What's this all about?
This about those Elmons. When we went through that icy cavern, there were these like
Elcors?
Yeah, there were like these squirrel monkey kind of things, Elcors, I guess, and they're like, theftedly, I will steal your things.
Boom.
Kleptomaniacally. Yoink. So they
Later, sucker.
Later, suckers.
So if you
boom,
talked to
there
them when you
goes
went through
the
the ice
dynamite.
cave the first time, they're like, you stole our crown, and you're like, no, I did not.
Oh, speaking
but
of
you can go back, you
crowns,
can-
I forgot to mention that the best thing
Yeah.
you get from Kellolon Village, fighting the king,
What do you get from Kellolon
you get a little tiny
Village?
crown, a very fashionable crown that makes every cutscene delightful.
Aw,
And it does double
cute.
your MP, but I didn't equip it. I mean, I made all the mages learn it, and then I put it back on Kaim, who doesn't need that much MP, but it's just having him with a little tiny crown made all the cutscenes incredible. But do go on.
Yeah, it makes him
Hang on.
adorable.
I mentioned this up front, and that's 100%. It's so fucking hilarious. And it stays on him for the rest of the game. Like, throughout all the cutscenes that come afterwards, in the epilogues, Kaim's got this cute little crown on. So fucking
Yeah,
great.
you also had him in some very fancy dangly earrings, which I appreciated.
And a circlet, I think.
And a circlet. So yeah, these Elmons, you can find their ancient crown, sort of where we fought the boss of this ice
Oh, the
cavern.
Bice.
A Bice, the boss of ice. So you get the crown, you bring it back to them, you have to fight them again, and then they're like, oh, the only way you could beat us is if you are the legendary Elamon. So we're going to give you the crown, and you go ahead and go steal some things. And you're like, what? And they're like, yeah, we want you to steal.
And we all know Vanessa loves a thief-related side quest.
I do. And so then once you have that crown, you can go to the Great Ancient Ruins. There are thievy beasts here named Trookies. They will steal from you, and then you can go and fight the Trookie Queen, and it's the same kind of deal. You fight her, and then afterwards, she's like, wow, here's all your stolen items, and we'll never steal from you again. You're amazing. The end.
I didn't see any, like, thing guiding me towards doing this quest at all. That's crazy.
No, it just kind of is there.
This reminds me a lot of the end of Final Fantasy X, where like you have Final Fantasy X, which is like 30 to 40 hours long, and then you have another 20 to 30 hours of bonus stuff. Like there is a ton of endgame content in this game.
Oh yeah, like remember those like bug sister summons?
Oh, of course, the Delta Sisters.
The Delta Sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you I can't remember if you've played Final Fantasy IV or not, because those are characters from Final Fantasy IV.
Oh, Death
I've
Note
played
creators
some of
the
it,
series
for
Platinum
sure.
into
I don't know
stream
if
on
I've played
Crunchyroll
all of
this
it.
fall. That sounds interesting.
I do love the Delta Sisters. They're great. So that's
Apple's
it.
making
That's
a
it
new
for all
external
the endgame.
display.
Oh, I did. Remember how I said there was these enemies and there was a Dawn version of them, like a big boss that you could get if you make them summon enough friends during battle. That someone in the refugee camp, the item store guy in the refugee camp.
Oh yeah, they did mention.
So
that.
I went and did that. You have to go back on the little snow-covered trail between Gotsa and the refugee camp. And when I was there, I thought it was the little guys in the cave where you find Kaim and Sarah, but it's on the trail that you fight these. They're like velociraptors, and they'll keep summoning in friends, and eventually they'll summon in the boss version of them, and it just gives you a lot of hit points. But it's a super. At this point, I was way too over leveled for it. You're supposed to do it, I think, when you're originally doing those quests, not later on.
Oh yeah.
So it was not difficult at all. Let's go. Let's just finish the game. Let's go to Grandstaff.
I'm excited.
Let's go to Grandstaff.
Honk, honk, honk.
Guys, I'm glad I've had so much input in this latter half of the game. It's been, it's been good. It's been nice.
It's all right, Matt. I think you'll have a lot to say about Grandstaff. So we get there in our giant stiletto shoe, which is our large boat.
Yeah, why did they
Tries to
give you
shoot.
that awesome? Can we stop for a minute? Actually, now be a good time before we get to Grandstaff to talk. I would love to talk about the control of that ship because John, I
It's
feel like you
awful.
have some things to say about it.
I like the ship.
By the time now, I want to say this as somebody who I played 3 discs of this game, just to be clear. So I played 75% of this game at least. But by the end of the game, the ship can go underwater like a submarine. It's a boat, and also it's an airship. It looks super cool. It looks super fun, and so therefore, I assume it must be a joy to pilot around.
Well,
is that correct?
That ship is mostly okay. Flying around is a nightmare. But that's
Why?
the little Nautilus ship is not bad compared to the shoe ship, because the white boa, which you get, is a big giant shoe.
Yeah, it's a
and
boat.
It's a giant ocean liner, and like it turns very, very slowly, and it gets like hung up on invisible edges of continents. Like even if you're half a screen away, it's like hitting the side of the Earth. for some reason, and it just like trying to point it in the direction because the only thing you need it for is to break ice, and it's very hard to steer. You only have to use it like
Why would
4
you
or
need
5
to break
times
the ice when you can fly above it?
because you can't land there if you're flying. You can only land in water, so you have to like go there first and smash through the ice, and then you can get onto
Makes sense.
Grand Staff.
Well, I want to give the game this.
John
The
got
airship
stuck at one
stuff
point
looks
because he-
fantastic. It's legitimately like it's the coolest airship I've seen in one of these games.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
it looked
I
like
did
a
get
nightmare to deal with. John, I was watching John play it and listening to him curse up a storm about flying that thing around, landing it.
Yeah. Well, especially when the last area you have to go to, I was trying to fly to it because it seems like that would make sense, but that's not how you get to the last area. We'll talk about that. But yeah, I got literally stuck. I could not move. I like Suez Canaled my boat. Oh, was that? Oh, yeah. And I couldn't get to the white boa, right?
Yeah, you couldn't because you left it behind some ice and then you flew away and then you couldn't land where it was.
Yeah, so I had to, but in the end, I just had to like go to a port or something, and it reset it a little bit so that I could go there. It was very annoying. You have to click in the right stick if you get into situations like that. So Grand Staff, it's the same as before, except more puzzly. There are more puzzles. You're inside it this time. And I feel like this dungeon takes a little too long.
It does take a little too long. It doesn't really have a good like save point there.
Oh yeah, this is where. So I did about the first part of. I almost finished the first part of Grand Staff, but then I was like, well, I got to go to work. And Vanessa's like, yeah, there's no save point, so just leave it on sleep. But then it did what I thought it would do, and it just erased my progress.
No,
I had to start over.
I'm so sorry.
Well, I mean, I would have
Can't-
been late for work if I kept going.
Yeah.
Can't wait to talk about games that erase your progress if you do the wrong thing, because that's going to be a running theme.
Just use multiple saves.
Next episode.
Use multiple saves,
I
man.
do use multiple saves, sir. I am able to go back and fix my mistakes. It just sucks.
Well, save that for next time. So yeah, fortunately, for those of you who like a shorter podcast episode, not a lot actually happens during these dungeons.
Yeah.
No, there's some really annoying slippy pipes, and you have to deslipify the pipes,
Well, yeah.
which I did not care
You got to
for.
turn off the like blowy steam that knocks you into the water below. At first, I was like, "Why is there water here? What's this all about?" I didn't realize
Classic
it could fall off those
JRPG
pipes.
puzzles.
Mhm.
But even if you turn off the steam, it's like I found it difficult to walk across.
Well, the
these.
first time I just ran across it, I didn't know you could slip off, so I didn't have the fear, you know? And I just did it. But
Yeah.
then every other time after I slipped, I was like, wait, what? You can slip off these things? Oh, that's what the
Mhm.
water's for.
So it's super irritating. You run through. Nothing really of interest happens. There are these weird, like, pods with monsters.
Yeah,
in
I thought
them.
this was going to relate to a puzzle, so I was like, okay, well, I better defeat all these or they're going to, like, come attack me at the end or something.
That's what I thought too. And yet, no. You can just leave those monsters asleep in their little
They do give you
pods.
lots
There's
of
no reason for you to fight 'em.
SP, and that's good, I guess.
Mhm.
Although I was, like,
at
maxed
this
out of
point-
almost everything.
Yeah, it's like at this point I didn't really need any SP. So
Well, I was teaching everyone 1,000 Years of Dreams, so that was taking me a little while. So that I could have all those wonderful slots. I had to slots. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. So you do that, and then you finally get to the end of Grand Staff, and who should be there? Not Gongora. It's the 6 nefarious saints.
I thought they were going to be like in Final Fantasy IX, where you had all those VVs that you had to fight, and they would like show up throughout the end of the game. But that's not. They just fight them all at once.
Yeah, I certainly thought that since there are 6 of them, you would fight them in 6 different battles. But
Well,
no,
honestly,
you
this is
don't.
probably the better of the 2 options.
Yeah, I think so too. Because they're not that interesting.
No.
They're sort of like the Knights of Ren. It's like I barely remembered that they existed.
Yes.
These are the 6 little magicians that Gongora zombified.
Now I'm feeling zombified. That's a song.
Oh, that was a beautiful punk song.
It's
I
by
loved
Alien
it.
Sex Fiend. I like to call them
Oh, I thought it was by you.
Alien Sex Friend, but no, it's
Oh, yeah.
it's Alien Sex Fiend. So you do fight them. There is a trick to this battle. It is a battle with a trick.
What's the trick?
Each one has a different color associated with the type of magic they're weak to. Sort of. Sometimes they also take other kinds of damage. It was a little bit all over the place. Like there's, the red, green, yellow, and blue ones, and they do take. Well, yellow was a little bit of a stretch, but that meant wind.
What?
Yeah, yellow is wind.
Yellow wind? Is that a fart?
Oh, mate. No, I thought that's more of a green wind. Anyway, I always imagined it to be green. Maybe that's cartoons.
It's hang on, both of you. It's very clearly a brown wind.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Oh.
Isn't that a character from Lord of the Rings?
Brown wind.
Brown
Yeah.
wind? Yeah. They call him brown wind.
Oh, okay. So you have to use different magics on them, but some of them also take physical damage. But if you have a weakness, something they're weak to in your rings, and then the last 2 are spells that I never use: Shadow and Shine. They're weak. Those are their weaknesses. But they also both of them take damage from either, which is good. So
Yeah.
that's great.
It's sort of irritating until you figure it out. Like, if you don't know at first, you're like, why are my attacks not doing any damage? Is this just how it's going to be?
But I've also taught
It's not just how it's going to
everyone like nullify all or nullify or absorb everything, absorb attack, absorb magic. So I should mention, by the end of this game, I was not taking damage.
be. Yeah. Everything the enemy does heals.
Yeah,
Essentially.
either doesn't do anything or heals. It's great.
Mhm. Which is especially great because as we get to Gongora, he keeps being like, "Oh, I'm the most powerful," and then it's like your attacks are literally doing nothing. Can you not see that? Like, and he's like, "Ho ho ho! I'm so strong."
Yeah, he's pretty full of himself for someone who is healing us every round.
Yeah. Take this soothing lotion.
So they do say that they are that they're just delaying you so that Gongora can escape and fulfill his plan. Pop quiz, Vanessa. What is Gongora's plan right now?
Gongora plan is to smash the mirror, which is the means of teleportation back to the immortals' homeworld. And he wants to do this so he does not have to go home and can instead stay and rule this alien world forever.
So after you defeat these guys, the top half of Grandstaff flies away, which is wonderful.
It's like, mine.
And then the dialogue in these in all these games we play can be nonsensical when they're really going plot heavy, but I did not understand.
That's true.
Ming looks up to the sky and is like, "It's pointed at the behind the stars. The mirrors must be behind the stars." What?
It's very
What?
weird.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
difficult to understand
Is
what
this like
they're
a flat
saying,
Earth thing?
and I feel like there's implications that they're not necessarily aliens, but they're like angels of some
What?
sort or
No.
something like that. I don't
Absolutely not. They like shove him through a Stargate back to his planet at the end of the game. They're aliens. They're
Whoa, whoa.
Highlanders.
know. Oh my
Bleep
God,
that out.
spoilers.
What? How would I bleep that out? That's happening in 10. We're talking about that in 10 minutes.
For fun.
This is the last episode.
Wait,
There's no
bleep that out.
spoilers in the last episode.
you know that people listen to the show by listening to 10 minutes and then playing the game and then listening
Yeah,
to the
exactly.
next 10 minutes.
Matt, on my
I'm
Mario
not believing
Game
that.
& Watch clock, Shy Guys appeared. I've never seen them before.
Oh, that's cool. I'm so excited for that Zelda one. I'm
Yeah.
legitimately I'm gonna pre-order it when I
Yeah,
can. I'm
I'm
so
going to get
excited
that for
about
my
it.
office.
I love that. Actually, I don't want it as like a alarm clock for home. I want a desk clock for my job. I want to take it to work.
Yeah, that's what I
I'm
said.
gonna
I'm
put it on my
gonna
desk at work.
That's what I said.
And
I
I'm
was
gonna,
do.
when I'm bored,
Stealing
I'm gonna
my
pick it up and
ideas.
play Zelda, and it's gonna be amazing.
You totally
I
stole
know.
your idea. And you both work at the same place, so
Yeah,
it's gonna be
it's
like
true.
Mario
It's
and
true.
Magic
Yes,
Box.
not only do we all live together, John and I do work for the same company.
You know, I always think Matt does boat insurance, which he does not do. But
No.
I just am convinced that's what Matt does.
There is
insurance.
a boat dealership outside of my office. Like I can
That's
walk
why.
to
Every time I
I
drop
can
you off for
walk
work,
to the
I'm
south end of my office and look out the window.
Yeah. You know, when I
Uh,
drop you off at work, I'm always like, "Oh, have fun at the boat place," and you're like, "John, I don't work at the boat place."
I knew somebody
like, "I
that
drop
worked
you off
at
at
that
the
boat
boat
place.
Mm-hmm.
My office, my new office that I just moved into, is located across the water from my old condo that I lived in. Which is very awkward. It's not awkward for me.
Oh.
It's just very weird. The condo I can see from the office, and I can remember sitting on that porch of that condo and looking at that office.
You're just giving listeners like clues to finding your old
No, I'm
apartment.
not. No, not at all.
They'll just follow the trail and figure out where you
Of
used
what?
to live.
Okay.
He doesn't live there anymore.
I know. I'm just being silly. I'm just being silly, guys. I'm just a silly Billy.
This is a very serious show. It's not a silly time.
Okay, sorry. I
Let's finish this
apologize.
fucking episode. I'm
Yeah.
done.
Wow. We're having fun,
Yeah.
Matt.
So you go up through Grand Staff Part 2, which
Yeah, you chase it
Uh-huh.
down. In your
oh
little
yeah, we
ship.
should talk about how you get into Grand Staff Part 2.
Oh yeah.
So you get into Nautilus because it's flying, and then you sort of chase after Grand Staff Part 2, and there's no way to land in it. So what Ced decides to do is penetrate the hull.
Mm-hmm.
He
Matt, you should be into this. You love penetration.
It is like a spermatozoa penetrating an egg to fertilize it. So really, the Nautilus
Mhm.
fertilizes the egg that is the floaty part of Grand Staff.
It's very erotic.
I orgasmed so many times. Was that too far? Do you think that's too far?
I think it was too far that you did it on stream because I don't think that that kind of thing actually goes in with the Twitch terms of service.
Well, no one could see it. I wouldn't have my camera on.
No, you. I mean, you. Yeah, but you did make that noise that was sort of like.
Yeah, that is what I do. So you do smash right into that hull, penetrate the Grand Staff, and then have another series of annoying puzzles to do. I don't know if we talked about how annoying the steam pipe puzzles were last time.
We indicated that it was annoying. This even gets like more annoying. I would say it's like a elevator puzzle for the most part. And
It was a real,
you
Vanessa,
go-
wait for this. You're going to love this. It was a real Tower of Annoy.
Terra of Annoy, look it up. Classic video game. Puzzle.
Yeah,
Classic
BioWare.
Non-video game puzzle.
it's a BioWare puzzle.
Classic puzzle. It is. They love a Tower of
Mhm.
Annoy.
Mhm.
You're like, here is a complicated lock based off of a children's toy.
You'll never get through
You'll
that,
never be able-
Jedi.
You'll never be able to move the rings from one side to the other side, Jedi. The power of the dark side wins again.
No, they they figured out my very simple puzzle.
How?
So this is just like an interlocking ring puzzle where you gotta like move it so that the bit can pass through to the next level, and there's some extra treasures and stuff you can get. There is a reflect spell that I never found in this dungeon, and I was very sad that I missed it.
That was very sad.
Mhm. But it's okay. it's not a big deal. I was not taking damage anymore. So you get to the top, the tippity top of the tower, and they're like, "Ooh!"
And you're like, tip, top, a tip to the tippy to the tip, tip, top. You don't stop the grand staff, and you climb to the tippy top.
And the kids are like, "Oh, is that the Tower of Mirrors outside?" And you're like, "Yeah, I guess so." But there's a big electric fence in front of the stairs up to that part of the dungeon, so you can't go that way.
Yeah, where you think that Gongora is. You're like, oh, Gongora must be in here. And they're like, oh, we can shut off the power. It sounds pretty easy. Gonna flip switch,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Wrong.
This fight was both easy. I liked this fight. This fight was fun. I thought it had a good gimmick.
I had to do it. Yeah, I had to do it twice because I didn't quite do the parties right the first time. But it was an interesting gimmick.
I didn't understand the party thing, so I think I didn't make very balanced parties, but it was fine. I did it okay.
Yeah.
So I had my first party was Kaim and Seth, and my second party was like Ming and Tolton. But
Yeah, that's what I did the first time too, and then it didn't quite work out for me. I think I had Ming and Sarah.
right. Oh yeah, that would be bad. So basically, powering these you get to these generators and it opens a door, and then says like, okay, you're gonna have to turn them off at the same time. And by turn them off, I mean inside the generator is a portal to another galaxy or another dimension where there is a big monster, and you got to defeat them both at the same time, or else it won't work.
Yeah, because the monsters are like linked. The monsters are essentially, everyone talks these days about how you can split a particle and then manipulate one part of it in one place and it will be manipulated in the other place. And that's how eventually we're going to make wormholes. It's very exciting. So yeah, he's like, you have to have the killing blow essentially at the same time, by which he means the same turn.
Yeah. Now there's so basically you get one turn for each of your characters on one side. Then Sed gets two options that weren't labeled properly and I didn't understand. One was like Dream Further and the other was Plarganar. I don't know.
It was like wait or delay something.
Yeah.
Basically the monster will heal itself every turn a little bit unless you use Sed's thing to interrupt, but he can only do it for one or the other monster each turn.
Yeah, I think that's Plarganar.
Yeah, that's Plarganar.
So in the end, I killed them first with Kaim and Seth because they're overpowered, and then I really took a chance because I was like, oh right, I'm gonna have to use like Tolton's best attack and then gamble, I guess, and so there was a real chance I would have had to do this twice, but it worked out. So I did kill it in one try.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to thank Matthew for his emotional support, Vanessa for showing up on the stream and cheering me along. I'd like to thank my mom and dad for being there for me throughout my childhood and video games.
Yeah.
Who would you like to thank?
I watched your stream and it was long.
Yeah, it was very long. And I didn't even talk for the first half because no one was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was asleep, I think.
I was streaming in the middle of the night, my time.
In the middle of the night. And so when I woke up in the morning, you were streaming, and I actually was quite delighted to wake up and get to enjoy my friend Johnny's stream first thing.
And
in the morning.
I
finish the
appreciated
game.
being able to go back and watch it myself.
Well, that's why I streamed it, so you could watch it. That is literally the only, because I knew no one was going to be watching at that time. So I was like, well, but
yeah.
Matt needs to see
Hey,
it.
good news. No one's going to listen to this episode either, so.
Oh, what? Our downloads the last
Yes.
episode were great. For some reason. I
Oh,
think
they
it's because I
were?
had the word horny in the title.
Yeah.
But hey, we're not
there's-
above such
There's
tricks.
kids out there. There's teens and tweens out there with their podcast apps being like, oh, the only way in this day and age that I can hear about anything being horny is to just search podcasts and hope that one of them
That
pops
does
up.
sound like something I would have done at that age, which is very sad.
Yeah, but this is the internet
That's
now,
true.
Johnny.
They can watch all sorts. Oh boy.
Ew.
Anyway, Uh, so you turn off the generator, then you go back upstairs, and they're like, "Well, we can go up now." And you go up, and I'm like, "Oh, this must be the very final battle. I'm so excited to finally be done with this game."
But no, we are interrupted by a Elenosaurus. A Picasso.
Oh yeah, with the Abacacatso.
Avo Picasso.
Yeah.
The Abacacatsu. It's just called. Oh, it's called a Arthosaurus.
Yeah, the Arthosaurus is like what we fought outside Newmara last time.
Yeah,
But this one's like a super powered
it's one of those. It's a big O.
And it is defending
problem for me to beat.
Gongora. Gongora's like, "You can't touch me. There's a big monster in front of me. You got to get through this guy first." And we're like, "Okay." Blap, blap, blap. Done. Ding. You like ring the little bell, put the order in the little rotaty thing, put the food onto the thing for the waiters to take to the table.
Yep.
Nice
Yep.
Arthrosaurus steak.
Arthrosaurus steak.
Sounds like something Fred Flintstone would eat.
Whoa.
Oh, good
Yeah,
pull.
but
Wow.
Dabba, can we finish this?
You know what,
episode,
Matt?
please?
How about we yabba dabba don't?
Oh.
Burn! Yeah, you tell
He
him.
got
you
you.
tell him, Mama. You tell him.
He got you.
Let's so we aren't quite at that best moment in this game yet. So we have one more thing before the comedy roast of Gongora.
Yep. So after we defeat this thing, we can finally get into Gongora's room. And Gongora is like, "You fools, you come here to battle me, and yet you have brought mortals with you? That's super dumb. And now it's time to reveal my ultimate ace in the hole. It's Jansen."
Oh my
Matt
God.
was right.
Actually, I love Puppet Jansen.
Well, I think because you already get creeped out by his face in the Uncanny Valley, so making him like a little uncannier is even creepier because he does do a puppet dance, which does remind. Did I ever tell you about the Christian musical theater play I was in called Kenaniah back in my
No.
teenage
That
years?
sounds uncomfortable.
Oh, there were so many gay people in that closeted gay men in that production. Anyway, but there was an amazing dance where it turns out that the ringmaster for Ain't Life a Circus, which was the production, was actually Satan. And then all the circus performers who had been the main characters of the show started like dancing like puppets, and then the black lights turned on and they all had like skulls painted on them. It was pretty radical, and it reminded me of Jansen's performance. So a little snippet into everyone's, dust off your Johnny notebooks because you don't use them that often. That is a little piece of Johnny backstory.
It sounds
People would
like
have
one
to
of
have
those
notebooks for
numbers
us
that would
because
be
we
like,
aren't mysterious.
That's true. What were you saying, Vanessa?
It would be like the most exciting and best number in the show.
Oh yeah, it was great.
And like they always do that. They're always like, "We're gonna show how bad it is to be bad," and then they give like the best number to the villains, and you're like, "Rad," and they're like, "No, it's not rad. It's very bad."
The worst part of that play was at the end we couldn't like really take bows because we had to bow for Jesus. It's like, come on.
What?
Like, we did a good job. It's like, no, Jesus did a good. It was also I was not part of an evangelical church, but that was an evangelical church's production. So I had to go to like this crazy Baptist church for that, and they were nutso. Cut that out. Cut that part out because
Interesting.
maybe we have Baptist listeners, and I don't want to be that insulting. But
I think even Baptists know that some Baptist churches are
Yeah.
crazy. Who? I don't know who, Matt.
Anyway, so Jansen is a puppet, and he's glowing purple, and Gongora's using him to attack us with only the
He looks like he's
weakest
dead.
skulls.
I thought he was dead.
I didn't think he was dead. I thought he was
Yeah.
just under control.
Yeah, because Gongora's like, Jansen and I had a contract, and until it's fulfilled, he's gonna be my puppet. Once again, Jansen has unwittingly been used by the villain in this game, but not very hard. Because like Johnny said, he only uses his weakest magic, which I found very moving. I'm like, oh, Jansen, even in this like desperate hour, he is a good man who's trying to protect his friends.
So Vanessa was like, I guess you have to make your big choice here, and your big choice is, do you kill Jansen or not? I have a feeling though that the game would probably game over if you kill Jansen, because he's very important to
How
the
do you
ending
not
of the game.
kill him?
Oh, well, that's
You just don't attack him. That's what I did. Because Gongora's like, will you attack your friend now? And I'm like, no, I don't feel like it. So
I'll
I didn't,
defend.
and it was fine.
Yeah, because it does the little clue that this is the right thing to do, because every time you don't attack him, he's like, why are you showing him mercy? These mortals are nothing compared to our power. You are fools. Don't keep not attacking him. This is what I don't want you to do. He's using some reverse psychology.
What you should do is attack him and kill him because he sucks.
I mean,
he
does no? I love Jansen. We all love him.
Wonderful.
Just like Tailboy from Final Fantasy IX, he's a flawed, lovable character.
Yeah. So after you don't attack Jansen for a while, Gongora's like, fine, meteor, 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 and brings down his massive attack. And then, irritatingly, this starts to break apart Grandstaff, and once again we have a timed escape.
Wait, is this before? I think before that, this is where you get the 5 minutes of roasting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you do get to mock Gongora.
Yeah, so Gongora stands there. He starts explaining his plan again, and then just
being mean
one
to
by
him.
one.
So you defeat him by being mean to him.
Yes. One by one, everyone basically says, you're an idiot. You suck. You don't know what you're talking about. He's like, these mortals are foolish. And Kaim's like, you've spent 1,000 years with these mortals and you've learned nothing. What is wrong with you? You don't know what you're talking about.
Gongora is like Pete from Kingdom Hearts.
Kai?
Explain.
Because you just kind of make fun of him until he like feels bad about how shitty he is.
But he doesn't have that plot turn. He never feels bad. He doesn't become your buddy like Pete does.
But it's still a lot like Kingdom Hearts. Like you just sit there and like make fun of him.
I'm going to be your buddy now. I'm going to help you out with a nice queen. What was her name again? My queen buddy?
Queen
Maleficent. Yes, me and Queen Maleficent are going to have a good time helping you out because we're friends now.
I mean, you should audition for Disney. Come to Florida and you can come sleep. You can come stay at my house and you can go drive over to Orlando.
Do I want to be in a Pete suit in Florida weather? Do those things have air conditioners in them?
Not really, and also.
Well, listen, Florida has air conditioners. You're gonna have to put it on at the site, you know.
The costumed characters are mute, so I think that Johnny's voice talents would not actually be that much of an advantage for him to.
Oh, I didn't know they were mute. I haven't really met any of the I've been to Disneyland like 6 times. I don't think I really talked or hung out with any of the costume characters. I think I was just too shy.
Guess why?
Guess
why, John?
I'm afraid of celebrities.
They're not mute. That's a lie. I've been to Disney. They talk. They go, come take a picture with me for $75.
The face characters talk. Those are characters that do not have the big head on top, but the other characters do not, except for Talking Mickey Mouse, which is a special encounter. His head does move like a robot, and he says a few canned phrases.
What about?
I live in Florida, and I go to Disney, and Mickey Mouse talks to me all the time. So what do you have to say to that?
Your uncle works at Nintendo. And tells you all about all the upcoming games.
Disney World is an hour and a half away from my house.
You have specifically told me that you never go there.
I went to the Toy Story
Disney,
show, and the Mr. Potato Head made fun of me Do you remember that? Have you ever been to that Toy Story show? Toy Story.
Do we
show,
remember the Toy Story
ride?
show where Mr. Potato Head made fun of you? Of course we do, because we all went together as a group,
Yeah.
as we do for
Disneyland, there's a
everything.
Toy Story ride, and outside there's a CG Mr. Potato Head that will make fun of people passing by. I don't know if they just have Cliffy in there or something, or a good Cliffy impersonator.
Clippy. Clippy, the Microsoft thing.
Cliffy, the voice actor, was he the voice? No, he's the voice actor for the T-Rex. Who's the voice actor for for Mr. Potato Head?
Anyway, that's how the game ends. So, time to talk about what you're
no.
squarely against.
We're not done yet.
So, no?
Let's talk about this celebrity roast.
Wait, I want to hear what the potato said about
It was just like
Johnny.
saying nice hat and things like that. You know, like
That's not really making
Well,
fun of you, or was it?
yeah,
like,
Were
yeah.
you
It was
wearing
in
a hat
a
at the time?
sneering manner. He was being sneering, but he wasn't going to actually try and make me cry.
He
It's
was talking.
Disneyland.
He was talking to you guys while you were having a conversation, and you got angry, and you turned around to him and you said, "Hey, do you think that it's fun to make fun of me while I'm having a conversation?" And he was
exactly.
like, "What? It's not important." And you were like, "The woman that I'm with is here. The conversation that we're having is about how this lady's mom drank puke to put her through elementary school."
Okay, let's not get into. I think you could. The best.
Is
I
that
think
not
you could
interesting
leave.
enough for you, John? John, is that interesting enough for you? She ate diarrhea to put me through school. Is that not funny enough?
I hate this.
Is that not interesting enough?
So the celebrity roast of Gongora starts off with Gongora telling everyone his plan, and then one by one, every single member of the party does get to tell him what they think. Except I don't think Prince Sparklepony actually speaks up.
He wouldn't. He's very dignified, and Gongora was his best friend. He feels very betrayed.
Yeah. Jansen makes fun of him and says that you're just looking for power, you big idiot. And
Yeah, and then the kids get really excited. They're like, "Great job, Jansen! Oh my God, I almost respect you now for that sick burn." And Jansen's just like, "Shh."
They do actually respect him at the end in a very touching scene, but we're almost there. We're so close.
They do.
So yeah, comedy roast. The best part is though, Seth is like, you've learned nothing during your stay here, and then Seth's like, "Yeah, you tell him, Mama. What a good bird. Great job."
Yeah. Sick burn, Mama. Yeah.
I laughed so hard at that. It was wonderful. So Gongora gets really upset at everyone making fun of him. So he does, as Matt said, cast Meteor. And this is the same spell that did blow up the battlefield in Ura. So I guess he was testing it back then. Who knows? Or no, I guess he was wanting to kill all the armies. That's why he did it.
Yeah.
And it does start breaking up the Grand Staff, which is bad. So you do have to go. He's like, "Well, later, dum-dums," and he does fly off in yet another part of the Grand
He
Staff.
flies off so many times.
Yep.
This is like a Star
like,
Trek
"Bye."
movie with pieces of the Enterprise breaking off and off and off.
Separate the salsa.
So you do get 8 minutes to go to the bottom. It took me 30 seconds? Vanessa was watching me do this. It did not take me long.
I was watching you do it, and before you actually tried to figure it out, I was like, "Don't fly, go to the bottom," because it took me a long time to figure out. And Johnny did fly.
But it didn't take me long.
It didn't take you that long because you looked at what I'd written and you were like, "Oh, I got it."
Oh, that must be. Oh, wait, no, that's not what I'm talking.
Oh, you're talking about
escaping
Grand Staff.
doing a Metroid and escaping the crumbling base. Except that, unlike a Metroid, this isn't the end of the game. So you do escape from the crumbling base. Took me 30 seconds, but then I was not looking at the chat. I was trying to figure out how to get to the very last area, which is the temple or the Tower of Mirrors. And I was trying to fly into it, and I was like, "Why isn't this working? What's wrong?" And I was not figuring it out. And Vanessa had been writing the correct answer into chat, but I was not looking at the chat. But eventually, before looking at the chat, I was like, "Oh, maybe I have to go underwater," and that's how you do it.
Yeah, I also had trouble figuring this out because, it ends, you're in the thing, you're pointed right at the Hall of Mirrors, and it's tall. It's a tall, skinny stick with a dome on
Mhm.
top. So you're like, oh, I have to fly into this dome. Nope, you have to go under the water. And then there's a cutscene. You fly through the Hall of Mirrors, and you just end up at Gongora Room, and it's finally time for the final battle.
Yay! He does have forms, but
He
yeah.
does, of course he does. So he can go, you fool, this isn't even my final form.
First of all, he turns into like a big muscled armored version of himself.
I'm not sure if he turns into this, though, because he's standing
Oh, is he?
behind
Okay.
it.
So you do.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's Mega. Okay, no, that's never mind. That's just the weird monster. Yeah. First, there's a weird monster.
First he summons a weird monster. It's called the Luminous Magic Beast.
I just stomped it. It was like, here's my big attack. Look. Oh, everyone heals. The only thing that he does do
Did you get the honey from the Luminous Magic Bees?
Yes.
Okay.
The Luminous
Magic
Magic Bees does have an instant death spell. So that does kill mortals, I think. But otherwise it was fine. But then the next, this guy was like a pushover. The next stage is,
Well, before this next stage, we have some light problems to talk about. So in the Hall of Mirrors, there is a big old mirror, which is the entrance to the world that these aliens came from. And there's light coming through it. And standing in the light, the immortals notice, we can feel time moving again for us. So this light is linked up to the time of our world, which, as you'll recall, 1 year for them is 1,000 years on this planet. The problem with this is that if the mortals stand in the light, they start to do a real M. Night Shyamalan beach, and they start to get old. Because, spoilers for old from the trailer. So
they that explains a meme I saw today that I was very confused by, where it's those, I think it's from Easy A or Mean Girls or something. There's girls in a convertible and they're like, "Come in, we're going to the beach where you get old."
That's what the movie's
okay.
about. It's a beach where you get old, and it's called Old. And it has not gotten very good reviews.
There's got to be a twist, right? Maybe they were old the whole time.
Twist is that you get old. I don't know, because I think it's based on a manga. So
I've seen decent reviews for it that say that it's pretty fun because it doesn't have like a twist. Like the twist is in the trailer. It's a beach where time passes, and it's like a weird. I think it's a weird time travel movie more than it is like a horror movie, and I think that's why it's. But I've heard decent reviews that say that it's pretty fun.
Okay,
so
really,
yeah,
I like the first couple of M. Night Shyamalan movies. Thought they were good.
I think he's made good movies. Yeah, and he's made some stinkers.
Unbreakable, and
he's
Sixth
certainly
Sense.
a competent filmmaker.
He's a better filmmaker than I am, that's for
sure. He definitely sort of, I think, lost the plot for a while, and like he was like a good decent filmmaker who, you know what? Let's finish this fucking game.
I feel like he sort of is trying to be like a Stephen King kind of type.
Yeah,
and
like I think that twist thing really like defined him for a while, and I don't think that was his intention. And I think that he quickly burned out on decent ideas, and it's like very obvious. And I think he's still kind of plagued by it. Like he's still the conversation with the Shyamalan movie is still what's the twist, but I don't think that was his intention was to be like the twist guy. I think he just had a good idea. The Sixth Sense is a great movie, and it's a good idea, and it's based around a fucking twist at the end. But you can't when then you make that every movie that you make, it's very obvious, you know.
Anyway.
Like you can't. It doesn't work twice, much less over whatever.
I was going to say that I would like to see him do something that isn't his own thing, but didn't he do that Avatar movie?
Yeah, he did an Avatar movie, and they fucking biffed that.
Yeah, so maybe I don't want to see that. Remember when everything tried to have a twist? Like,
Yeah, it
do
was
you remember
terrible.
that movie called The Illusionist with Edward Norton?
Yeah.
It came out like around the same time as The
Yeah, it was one of
Prestige,
the
and it
best 19th century magician movies of that year.
Yeah, at least among the top
Yeah.
two. And
That's funny
I
though. That
just
happens all the
remember, like-
time though, right? The when there are two movies that come out that have very similar plots.
And
Like that happened
Yeah.
so many times when I was a kid that I
Volcano,
remember them.
Volcano and Dante's
Yeah.
Peak, Armageddon
Volcano,
and Deep Impact,
Volcano, and what's
Lambada and the Forbidden Dance.
no Volcano and
Dante's Peak.
Dante's Peak. Dante's Peak is the superior film.
Wow.
That's
can't
not
believe
a
you'd say that.
shocking statement. Okay, Gongora.
That's a good point because the Volcano movie does have everybody being covered with ash at the end and realizing that racism is bad.
I mean, I agree with the sentiment. I just think it was handled poorly because then a kid
When there's
explained
no color. That's
kid
the only thing that
explained
separates us is the color of
moral
our
the
skin.
story right afterwards. Anyway,
I legitimately love
Wasn't
both of those
Volcano
movies. And then
written
there's those
by
two Columbus
friend of the show,
movies.
Billy Ray?
probably.
It was.
Oh.
What are the two Columbus movies? There's 1776.
All right, so Gongora then turns into
Seven?
Mega Gongora, which
He sucks.
Mega
So that's the
Gongora.
one I was thinking
Gongora
of.
sucks. He just gets covered in like fucking black chitinous armor.
yeah,
It's boring.
like blue plates. He does look like a big buff blue plated bear. It's not
Yeah,
into
and-
it.
Oh, it's boring.
At this point in the fight, you only have your immortals in the party because the mortals can't stand standing in the light anymore.
Right, because I
hate to
did
say
use
it, but at this
Tolton
point,
for the
I'm
first fight.
programmed. At this point, I'm programmed to expect the fucking god of death or apathy or whatever to show up and try to erase the universe. And it doesn't
Yeah.
happen here.
Yeah.
There was
Instead,
no
you just
Necron.
get Gongora with some armor.
No, you Yevon.
Yeah. We haven't really mentioned, but Gongora's been hearing a voice this whole
Yeah.
time that's been like telling him, you have to come back to me. And he's like, I won't go
Mhm.
back. And you sort of would expect that thing would appear.
Well, I
through the
have
mirror.
we'll talk about my theory for that in a second. But one thing I did like so this fight is actually not really a fight. I don't think what you do each turn matters as long as you don't die, because basically
Yeah.
Gongora does a thing and then kills you, and then one of your mortal friends, blocks it or reverses it or whatever. So it's more of a cutscene fight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gongora does a thing, and then like one by one, you have Mac, and he's like, "I'm gonna cheer for you,"
Mhm.
and it's like Mac cheered up the party, or he like kills you all, and then Cooke is like, "I'm gonna bring you all back to life."
Well, I'll just speak to what I saw, which was John's stream, and it was pretty fun actually. It started off with Ced casting all shield on your
Mhm.
party. That was pretty fucking dope,
Mhm.
actually.
Yeah, and Tolton
And,
buffs your whatchamacallit, your attack.
I don't know if it was intentional, like if it's a scripted by the game,
Yeah,
or
I
if it
think
just
it's a whole
happened to be that way. But
I think it's a
you
scripted
did
event.
all of your team got knocked down to 1 health,
Mm-hmm.
and then you did get healed by Cooke to
Mhm.
bring everybody back up to full HP, which was pretty fun.
And Jansen
was
brings you all
tense.
back to life.
It was
and
tense, it happened.
It
It was fun to watch.
scripted
When I was
fight.
watching, it was tense.
Yeah.
I did like that it involved all of
Mm-hmm.
the characters, because often in these games, like, you do the final battle just with whoever happens to be in your party, and it doesn't make any sense. It's like you have like 16 powerful characters, and you're just gonna fight this ultimate evil with 4 dudes because the other dudes are, I don't know,
Mm.
busy.
Yeah, this one at least made sense, and I really like that. So so you do fight Mega Gongora, and then you do get an actual fight with Mega Gongora.
Yeah, Mega Gongora starts absorbing the light from the mirror, and he's like, "No, I'm extra double Mega Gongora." Oh, and the whole time he's been talking about, like, isn't this exciting because, you could actually die in this fight. And they're like, well, you could die too. And he's like, oh, I'm not afraid of death. Death fears me. I'm gonna be a god. And they tell him the fact that you want to be a god shows that you're afraid of death. And he's like, I'm not.
Shut up, you.
Shut up. You are. You're afraid of death. Death is afraid of me. Meh. So he starts like sucking up this light from the mirror. And then Jansen, the real hero of the game, is like, hey, he's sucking up that light. That's no good. So I know what to do. We're just going to block the light. And so he stands in front of the mirror and sort of makes a little barrier shield. And he's like, everybody help. And so everybody helps. And they try to block out the light from penetrating. And they do.
Yes,
and so
don't
now
penetrate.
He can fight Gongora with real
And
stakes.
Ming's like, no, Jansen, don't. I thought Jansen was going to die. I was 100% sure this was going to be
Yeah, he did die.
end of Jansen.
He got turned into a puppet. He
not
died.
Jansen. He's been through so much.
And
I
this
can't
yes, so now
fucking
you-
stand Jansen. Can I just be honest with you? Like, he's Chandler. Like, it's Chandler Bing
Mhm.
as written by somebody that writes bad jokes.
Well, that just makes
It's
sense because
not-
Bing is owned by Microsoft.
Good.
So that's why they had the right to use it.
Like, it's not. He's not a good character. And like,
I like him.
there's a payoff here, and I do like. I appreciate the, like it wins me over a bit at the end, but I still like. I just hate this.
I've got a question for Vanessa. Why, after the puppet
Mhm.
thing, did Gongora say your debt is paid off and then did not kill him? Because I thought that was going to be what happened. But he's like, your debt is paid off anyway. Just move on.
Gongora isn't going to bother killing a mortal. They're so far beneath
That's
him,
true.
And I think Gongora was like secretly scared because he's like, oh, Jansen didn't do it, and I'm scared, and so he ran.
So you defeat Gongora. At this point, Vanessa and I are both very over-leveled for this fight. So it was not...
It was super easy to defeat
Yeah.
Gongora.
But then you
How did you
defeat
get
him
so over leveled?
doing all the side stuff. It levels you
Yeah.
a lot. The thing is here, so you defeat Gongora, but there's a problem. The
Mhm.
bubble has been strengthened by the magic energy coming from the other side of the portal, and it's become so strong that anyone inside can't get out of it, and they're still being blasted by the rays, the aging rays, and like it looks like everyone's gonna die, especially as like, oh well, Ced's like, I'm a lot older than you, this is killing me.
It's really upsetting because the kids are in
Mhm.
there, and like Kym and Sarah are banging on the shell for the kids, and Seth is banging on the shell for her son,
Mhm.
and Totten also is there, but they don't really care that much about Totten.
Yeah.
And Ming is banging for Jansen, and they can't get through.
Yeah,
and
he is.
And-
Banging.
And it's very terrible.
the only thing with Ced is that Tolton is holding Ced up, and this is the point where Tolton's the strong one, so he's had his character arc. I like that. I thought
Yeah.
that was sweet. But then
And Ced is like, looks like I'm gonna go first, Mama. And I was like,
and everyone's got tears streaming down their faces, and they're telling him, everyone's telling everyone else how much they love them. But then,
And then Gongora gets up because he is immortal, so he essentially has come back to life from his beating. And he starts laughing, and he's like, I win, I win.
Mhm.
He starts saying that he's won, and they're like, what are you talking about? And he says, they're never going to get out of there unless you smash the mirror yourself.
Mhm.
And so, lol, I'm never going to have to go home. You're going to smash the
LOL.
mirror to save your stupid mortals. And then I'm going to take your memory again and rule the world forever. And Seth ain't having it.
Mhm. Seth.
So she
You go ahead.
she just she grabs him and pushes him over to the mirror, and she's like, "Laters, everybody, bye."
And Gongora does have a
And,
Disney death, like, no,
Yeah.
as he's pushed in to meet his comeuppance, because he's like, he just told his boss off, and now he's being pushed back into the office. So he's
Yeah.
gonna face.
He's going back
Mhm.
to work, and she goes too. This is very upsetting for Sid. He's like, "Mama, I just found you again,
Mama.
and now you're gone, Mama." And then there's this weird scene. So they go back to the Nautilus. They're very sad. And the kids are like, "Is
Well,
Seth
Wait. Before
dead?"
that, they Kaim
Yeah.
does throw the Gongora's staff into the mirror,
Oh,
smashing
yes.
it so that the link is severed. I thought this would mean that they're no longer immortal, but
Why
apparently
didn't
not.
they all go through? I thought that was the plan.
Because Ming doesn't want
Well,
to.
they don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ming didn't want to. She wants to stay with Jansen. They wanted to save these kids and stuff. They all have people that they
I had
love,
assumed
so
that
they-
breaking the mirror would mean they're no longer immortal, but the game disagrees.
Yeah, that does not seem to be the
Yeah.
case. I mean, they're not immortal, apparently, because if
Immortal.
1,000 years is like a year for
Mhm.
them, they'll die
Mhm.
eventually.
50, 70,000
Um,
years. Seems like a good deal.
Yep. So they are very sad. The kids are like, "Is Seth dead?" And then Sarah's like, "No, she just went back to her homeworld." And then Totten's like, "Isn't that like death for an immortal?" And Kaim's like, "Yeah, basically." And I'm like, "Kaim,
Kaim,
the kids are right
the
there.
kids are here.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Eh,
She's not
yeah,
dead."
she's still alive, but then her pendant Ming's pendant starts glowing, which I guess is a sign of her immortalness, and somehow
Her,
Seth has a connection
Yeah.
to it and can like send flashy Morse code like in Stranger Things.
because Seth like had the pendant for a while. Well, here's what I think happened, and it just occurred to me. So, like, maybe Seth did go back, and then she had like a normal lifespan. So after like 50 minutes or whatever, she was dead.
No, she would be.
No, the math doesn't quite work out on
No,
that.
I don't think that. I still think it would take a while. Like time passes at a different rate, so she'll be alive for 70,000 years. But yeah, I think you're right that she.
No, she won't be alive for 70,000 years.
Yeah, she will.
Because she's back in her.
Yes.
No, because she's back in.
Yes,
No.
because time passes at a
No.
rate of 1,000 to 1. So 1 year in the other side is equivalent to 1,000 years on our side.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So presuming that she
Oh.
lives, let's say the average lifespan of a humanoid is similar to us of 70 years,
hmm
which is just a wild. Anyway, 70,000 years. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So
But the real
what-
question is how long does it take how long does it take to pass the messages back and forth? You know,
Well, there's the things that Seth like.
they need an
She
answer.
was able to track it before. Remember, she said there was a link she had to that amulet, and that's how she found where Seth or where Sarah and Kaim were last time. So I think it's that.
And they also don't have bodies on the other side.
Yeah.
So we keep seeing this like glowy, floaty stuff, and maybe that's kind of her
Hmm.
sans body.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Pardon me. So yeah, it glows. They
You're
managed
not
to.
pardoned.
I burped. They managed to escape the crumbling tower. Is that right? Yeah, because they have to go out through the bottom again.
Mhm.
And they feel like Seth. Oh, because the steering locks up because the ship got smashed by a piece of the tower, and Seth's like, "Oh no, we're gonna die!" But then the steering wheel glows. Something is
Mhm.
happening, and he's like, Mama's doing this somehow." They don't explain how, but it's magic. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. That's why I thought maybe they're more like angelic spirits than aliens.
Okay. So at this point, we cut to, and Vanessa's really hyping up the endgame outfits, and it cuts to Kime
3 years
Yeah,
later.
Kime's hanging out with the kids on a beach, and they're in there. I'm like, well, we've seen these outfits before. This is Kime's like villager outfit, and the kids like not battle outfits. And I
Yeah.
was like, Vanessa, these aren't as good as you were hyping them up to be.
But then,
Mm-hmm.
well, first the kids are like playing, and we get a voiceover from Sarah, who is writing a letter to Seth. And she's like, "Dear Seth, everything is great. We are taking care of the kids. Both Ming and Totten asked Kime to be a royal advisor, but we decided instead to buy a farm, and we just work with local farmers.
Way too
And
fucking cool to go
We're
advise.
Too cool.
He's got glasses on
government
that
work.
have no lenses and a mustache, but he's definitely farming that land.
Yeah, he's farming the land in his little crown. And they seem pretty blissfully happy. Mac and Cooke find a shell, which they think is amazing. Despite all the stuff they've been through, they're like holding up this shell like, wow, oh my god, a shell. Hey, remember how we saved the world? Oh, cool. A seashell. Wow. I guess I shouldn't mock that, actually. That sounds like a great attitude towards life. So then out of the water that they're playing by come the Nautilus.
Yay!
And Sed is on board, and he's like, yoo-hoo, I'm here, I'm your ride. And he sort of is like, I'm your chauffeur now, huh? And they're like, ha ha ha, yeah. And he says, well, we better get going, or we're gonna be late. And they all board the Nautilus. Then, Johnny, then my promise becomes fulfilled.
Mm-hmm. You get to see everyone in their finest formal wear. Like, for instance, Kime is wearing a sort of a pinky peach colored tuxedo with a frilly collar. It's got some gold piping, a big ascot. It's very beautiful.
Yeah, big blue ascot.
Yeah.
He has a handkerchief in his pocket. His jacket sort of stops mid-torso, and then he has a longer waistcoat underneath.
I would definitely call that a salmon. Like it's that.
Okay.
Oh, just like hard between beige and pink. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Sarah has a yellow tiered
A
dress.
Princess
It's sort of a
Peach.
yellow ombre. A Princess Peach
Accentuates
Mm-hmm.
her great big anime wife bazongers.
Yep.
dress.
The kids are both the boy's wearing like a little Lord Fauntleroy kind of formal dress thing that
The
boys
boy,
used to
John?
wear.
Yeah.
The boy, you just spent 70 hours with him.
Okay, Mac is wearing a very bizarre Fauntleroy formal dress.
What's bizarre
thing.
about it? It's adorable. And Cook is wearing
It's
a
very
pink,
Cute and
like a
fancy.
pink, but it's just an adorable pink dress.
Yeah, she's got a lovely pink.
She's wearing like a pink magical anime girl
Yes,
dress, I would
yeah.
say.
Magical
definitely
anime girl. Bullshit. She's wearing like a pink Easter dress. You're a bunch of fucking heathens.
I would almost
Sed,
wear.
however, is
I would
wearing
wear
a
what Sed's
full-blown pirate's jacket.
Yeah,
It's just in the deepest red. Not the deepest, like the highlightiest red.
it's
as are his
definitely
pants.
something that Ringmaster, in Ain't Life a Circus, the Christian play that I was in back in the 90s, would wear.
Shout out to Ain't Life a Circus once
Yep.
again.
There are videotapes
Yeah,
of that.
and-
That is like the ultimate Square Roots collectible, is trying to find the tapes they
Oh
sold
my
of that
gosh.
play.
I want one.
Who doesn't?
And then they are all headed to a fancy formal event. What could it possibly be? Well, we cut to a big, it's the throne hall of Newmara, and it's filled with people, and we see Mac and Cooke coming down this wide aisle.
You get some off-brand
have-
Royal Wedding March music.
Yeah, off-brand Royal Wedding March music. Cooke and Mac have flowers. They're scattering the flower petals. And then come Ming and Jansen.
Yay!
Ming has finally gotten a full shirt. She is wearing a
That's
beautiful,
unbelievable.
beautiful white wedding gown. And
I would say her
Why?
hat is almost Amidala-like. I feel like there's an Amidala hat that goes near this. It's got like a big disc in the back, and she's got peacock feathers coming out of her hair. The headdress thing extends out about a meter from behind her.
Behind
And it's
her.
wrapped with ribbons. She's got little Princess Leia rolls, but they're flower rolls on the side of her head.
Yeah, big blue flowers. Jansen is wearing a similar color palette.
His is
He
more
has
like
white, gold, and
what you would
blue.
think of as like formal prince wear from, the 19th century or something, 18th
Right.
or 19th. Like Napoleon would wear this or something.
So they do wedding march right down the aisle to Totten, who is there to marry them. He has them
What?
say the vows, and he's like, Jansen, do you take Ming to be your wife? And he's like, I do.
Yeah, I love that.
And Ming affirms the same, and then Totten's like, now you can kiss each other, and Jansen's like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening to me. I love the kiss part, but all these people are here. I gotta make it look good, and I can't believe I'm gonna be king. Oh my god, King
So
Jansen! Who would
fucking
have ever
annoying.
believed this?
and meanwhile, the
Jansen.
Swerkers in the audience are so sad.
Oh yes, his 3 sex worker friends from the very beginning of the game are there, and they are bawling their
Yep.
eyes out, which really only makes you like Jansen more, because you know that he was a good customer who will be missed. So then Ming has once again had enough of Jansen's talking and shuts him up the only way she knows how, by grabbing his head and giving him a big old kiss.
Blowjob.
And then
Kiss.
while they're kissing,
Kiss is what I
Totten
meant to
decides to make a political speech. And he's like, I, Totten, pledge that we will have peace from now on. We've been through a very hard time, but now that I'm super good King Totten, everything's gonna be just fine. And Ming and Jansen just keep making out through the whole speech. It's pretty fantastic.
Have you ever been at a wedding where the couple like makes out?
No.
I have.
But to be honest, I haven't gone to a lot of weddings.
Aw.
I think I've gone to like relatively few weddings for
You came to my
compared to
wedding.
my peers.
Well,
Uh,
Vanessa's never a bridesmaid, always the bride.
I have been a bridesmaid
Oh.
actually.
Vanessa
more
was a
often than not.
groomsman at my wedding. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I wore a fancy powder pink tuxedo, just like Kime. No, I would say actually
Salmon.
I've been like a bridesmaid in about as equal number of weddings that I've been to as not, or almost. Anyway, if all things go well, I should be going to a wedding in September. I just RSVP'd
Ooh.
to our mutual friend Anne Marie's wedding.
Yay! I wish I could go, but it doesn't look like that's happening.
Yeah,
Did I
would have
get an
been
invite
happy
to
to
that?
bring you as my
Can
plus
you
one.
forward it to me?
I don't believe you did.
Can you forward me
Yeah.
yours? That would be great. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry, I chose not to
Oh, it's okay. It's
bring
fine.
a.
I've got your login and password. I'll forward it to myself.
Yeah, you can just go to her wedding site and RSVP.
Yeah. Just go ahead.
So that's the end of the game, just about. We sort of cut back to Kime and Sarah, and they're like, so, what are we going to do after we raise these kids? And Kime's like, we're going to take it easy. The end.
They are going to watch those
Live
kids die.
forever! Yeah, they're gonna watch this.
Yes, they certainly are.
Yeah, but they seem to be okay. I guess it's like owning pets.
Yeah.
Can we get to the squarely against part of this show so that I can complain about this?
Well, next time, where are we playing to in Legend
Oh my gosh, okay.
of Mana?
listeners, listen up. Legend of Mana is a very
Confusing.
it's not an easily accessible game, I would say. I mean, you can access it, you can buy it just about anywhere, on Steam, on PlayStation, on Switch, but it is a little bit dense as far as a game goes. It is helpful to look at guides, to read a little bit about it. And in fact, the way that Legend of Mana was set up, it was kind of designed to be played multiple times to unlock all of the content. We don't want to do that. Like, we just want to play it one time. So we are going to be using a walkthrough to help us with that. And if you want to play the same kind of chunkers that we are going to play, you want to go to legendofmana.info. It's a fan site, and it will tell you in the event walkthrough the order in which we are going to be playing these events. We are going to be playing events 1 through 11. That is, 1 through 12, the Path of the Blacksmith. Again, if you try to start this game and just do it all willy-nilly, you may not unlock all 68 events.
I'm very
that happen in
happy
this game.
that Watts the Blacksmith comes back, because he has been in all the Mana games.
Oh my gosh, spoilers for Legend of Mana.
Sorry. All right, Vanessa.
Yeah, it's a game that I like a lot. It's a little bit unusual, but I think it will make for a fun show. It's less of a overarching plot and more of a series of little vignettes as you try to discover the world and figure out exactly what's going on. So now's the time where we talk about what we were roundly for or squarely against about Lost Odyssey. In fact, we just talk about like roundly for, squarely against the whole dang game. Let's see, who do I think would want to go first to talk about this? I'm gonna pick Johnny.
Well, that's a good choice, because I am roundly for Lost Odyssey.
Hooray!
I rather enjoyed this. It's not the best RPG. I think it has, like, it has ambition, but it still feels like a very small world in spite of the number. It does have a nice number of dungeons and stuff, but it doesn't. There's stuff I really like about it. I like the stories. I really like that it has a different group of characters. Like, it does feel like more Western targeted characters where they're adults and they have superpowers, and it's definitely feels like it's aimed at a Western audience in a way that Final Fantasy games kind of do their own thing in a way that I love too. But it does feel refreshingly different than the usual JRPGs in its structure and characters. The stories themselves are good. I do feel like there is a thing missing. But the link between the stories and the game story is very tenuous. A lot of times you can tell that it's just the writer making up worlds that don't exist or have anything to do with anywhere you go in the game. I wish there had been little connections, like they tried a little harder to, like, maybe you're going through archaeological sites and you're like, oh yeah, this town was destroyed by an earthquake or something, just so that you kind of can link between the events of the stories and the game a little bit more. There are stories directly related to the characters in the game, and those do feature characters and events from the game, but a lot of times they are sort of isolated vignettes that don't really have anything to do with it.
Yeah, like, remember there were all the stories about, like, the town full of flowers and the general who, like, sprouted a whole bunch of things. It's like, why didn't we go there?
I think that would have made the game better.
Yeah.
Also, I do find the city environments often look really good, but the outdoor environments look terrible. Like, they look like a bad PS2 game a lot of the time. So there's definitely, but I think, like, the character animations and the motion capture is really cool, and, like, the characters themselves look really good, and I really like some of the cinematic stuff in the combat. I do wish I think that there's a really good idea with the first fight in the game where it's shot like a cutscene, as you go through the different actions. And I wish they'd done more like that, making turn-based, basically combining turn-based combat with QuickTime events. I think is something that could be done in a really cool way where it feels more cinematic. And that's what they were going for with that first fight, but then never again, basically.
Yeah.
Except for maybe when you're fighting one of those Arthrosauruses and knocking some bricks onto it or whatever. But overall, I just thought it had a very simple, the gameplay mechanics was simple but addictive. I liked learning new skills. It reminded me a lot of Final Fantasy X-2 stuff on how fun it was, and X-1's Sphere Grid. Like, I liked unlocking and learning all the abilities. I liked making your characters invincible because I love doing that in these games. It's my favorite part.
Yeah.
What about you, Vanessa? What are you roundly for or squarely against?
I am also roundly for this game. I ended up enjoying it quite a lot. I liked the characters. For the most part, Sarah was sort of lifeless, I thought. But I liked Jansen, of course, and I liked the kids a lot. Seth was cool. Ced was fun. It's a game that surprised me in a couple of places, which is unusual and difficult, I think, to achieve sometimes because we've played so many games. We just kind of know the tropes and have ideas about what to expect. But I was delighted and surprised in certain places. I thought that Gongora was not a great villain. You know, like he just didn't inspire very much in me. And I wish that maybe they had like gotten Gongora and Cockinus together, you know, had more sort of intrigue in
I wish they'd hooked up because they're both obviously gay.
I wish they'd hooked up.
Yeah.
And made out, and maybe they would have like both calmed down a little bit. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I actually liked the parts where your party got split up because it made you use different characters in different ways. And overall, I think it was an enjoyable game. Matt?
Well, I won't pretend like I finished the game. I did not. I did give up at the beginning of the fourth disc. So I would like to point out that I played at least 3/4 of the game, and that's presuming that the fourth disc is the same length as. Anyway, I played a lot of this game, and I just don't think it's very good. I think that it looks good. It's got some great designs, and it's got some great visuals. Like, I didn't like, for example, I don't like the character designs in particular, any of them. Like Ming and Jansen, and I don't like any of their costumes. For the women, it's because they all are huge-breasted, and their costumes are all, featured around their lack of covering on their breasts, which is not fun, frankly. It's like, I don't know. Like, that drags me out of the game. It does.
It sort of reminds me of, Vanessa, do you remember the bug wrestling in Yakuza?
Oh, yeah, that was so weird.
Anyway, do go on.
And the men's costumes, like Jansen's costume is a good example of a costume that I don't like, but has a lot of great little details that I did like, because the game looks great, even when I don't particularly like how it looks. But anyway, the long and short of it is I am squarely against this game. It's just not great. It's a middle-of-the-road JRPG. It looks really good compared to pretty much any other JRPG that you can think of that's from before that time. But it wastes its premise. It wastes this whole Immortals premise on what turns out to be basically a standard JRPG endgame. And it's funny because it makes more sense in the game. The standard, the trope, the cliche, dare I say cliche, end of this game, climax of this game, isn't changed or improved by the fact that these characters were immortals that didn't remember their pasts. You know, it doesn't turn out to be any different or any more interesting than, Cloud, who lost his memory, or the whole group of Final Fantasy VIII characters who didn't have their memory. Like, it's just another fucking amnesia game. There's some interesting stuff in it, for sure, when you look at, like, the short stories and the some of that stuff. And it does change some aspects of the game. But I think it wastes that whole premise. I really do. I think it blows it on nothing. And sadly, and even more boring than your standard JRPG ending with Gongora just fighting the guy that you've been fighting the whole time, And he's not an interesting character, unfortunately. And none of your characters are interesting. So the whole thing's boring. Yep. Squarely against. That's my thing. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do something I shouldn't do and speak for The Departed and say that Jim didn't finish this game as well. And I think he felt the same.
Mm-hmm. He said bland a lot describing it.
Yeah. It's a bland game. The character design, it's weird because, like, you can go into a city and look around and say, like, the design, the visuals of the city look great. But then it's just every city is the same 2 hallways, basically, with 1 shop you can unlock. Like, it's just not good. It's not fun.
One thing I wanted to mention. Oh, sorry. You go ahead first. You finish up, and then
I'm done. Okay. That's it for me. We gotta wrap this fucking show up. Are we really at 2.5 hours?
Yeah. So
Is
one
this
thing
real
that
life?
I did want to mention is it does seem like the game is primed for a sequel, like the voice on the other end being a big bad guy.
Mm-hmm. And where did Seth go?
Yep. It's got a kind of cliffhanger ending. I don't think, although Mistwalker still does make games, Microsoft owns the rights to this and its characters. So unless suddenly we have boosted Lost Odyssey sales by 1,000,000%, I don't think we're going to ever see a sequel to this.
I don't think it deserves a sequel. I don't think it's a good game.
Wow.
So why should it, why do a sequel?
Yeah, I think that with Microsoft obtaining Bethesda, it's unlikely that they will want their RPGs to be coming from Lost Odyssey IP as opposed to Fallout.
I think
or
Microsoft
Elder
has given up on Japan too. They don't care.
Yeah.
They're done. Like, you can't. They tried to crack it, and it's fair, and it was cool that they did. And this game is a result of that, and it's not worthwhile. That's the thing. Like, it's an interesting project.
Well, and what they're doing now is just getting the rights to games. Like all the Yakuza stuff is coming out. So at least you are getting Japanese games on the Xbox, but they're not made specifically for the Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on.
Isn't it interesting how different cultures can be?
It is. That's one thing Kaim likes to tell you about.
It is one thing Kaim likes to tell you about. Kaim also likes to tell you about how war is bad and also racism is bad.
I mean, I agree.
These are all good things.
Me too.
Yeah.
Did we get any emails? Well, let's do them next time. I think the next episode's going to be short. Maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of short stories.
12. That thing's 12 parts of that thing. I'm like fucking 8 hours into that game.
What? Have you done those 12 parts?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm caught up. I'm ready to go.
Okay.
I've got several monsters that I've trained, and I've got, like, Vanessa, do you have what's the punishment? Vanessa, hang on. Well,
yes.
We can save that bit let's save that for tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll think about it.
Okay.
But Vanessa,
Well, I had suggested that your monster breeding and things,
Okay.
Matt's farm corner, be the punishment.
that's
I
a good
think
idea.
I think that's perfect. I love it. Okay, so
I've heard some stories
we'll
about monster
unveil
breeding.
that because Jim will be here too, so we'll unveil that.
Yeah. Matt, do you like planting fruit in your orchard?
I do it as often as possible.
I think it's really fun. I don't know why.
I
I just love that tree.
I like all of that stuff. It's great. The only bad thing about that game is how it doesn't explain to you any of the things that you
We
should or
have
need
a
to do.
Patreon.
Hey!
Our Patreon features 2 tiers, like the tears
Two
that run down my
tiers.
face when
The
I
tier
thought
on
that
your
said,
left tier
was going
is
to
your
die.
$3 tier,
yeah.
and your right tier is your $5 tier.
The $3
remember,
tier
folks,
gives you
left is
access
right,
to every
right
single
is-
bonus episode, like our upcoming episode we're going to have to record this week about Cyberpunk, and I got to figure out if I can record that at the office because I want to be in that episode because I have a lot to say about Cyberpunk.
I think the end of the
I
month
feel like I have
is
some
like
things
Monday.
to say.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, we can record it Monday, anytime between Monday and
All right,
Wednesday.
listen, hang on. Today is Saturday. The first, so next Saturday is the 31st. And then the day after that's the 1st. So listen, John, if you want to edit it, we could record. No, we can't record it. Yeah, we could record it next Saturday.
Okay, yeah, and then I'll edit it that night and post it. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Does that work for you?
Yep.
That works for me.
That sounds fine.
Yeah. Hopefully it
I
I
works
should
for
be
Jim.
home Friday night. Maybe I can play a
I'll
little bit
edit
more
during the
too,
week.
although I won't finish it.
Okay, anyway, so...
It'll be, so we'll record that Saturday, but then we will record again Sunday because
Yeah.
we're recording Sundays now.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So the $3 tier is every single bonus episode we've ever done, and you can listen to those to your heart's content. There's some great stuff. I think we'll have a lot of fun stuff to say about Cyberpunk. Next month, I'm excited about the bonus episode there as well. And also, for $5,
When do I get to choose an episode?
I
see,
thought this was Cyberpunk. I mean, if you want to choose next
Ooh.
month's, I thought this was Vanessa stole your.
Matt was playing Cyberpunk and I wanted to play it, but I didn't want to pay for it, so I suggested that Matt use it as his bonus.
And
So
then
I could have an excuse to
immediately
use
bought the game for
Patreon
yourself.
money to buy
You
it.
can do what if you want to choose. I thought we were going to do Adventures of Mana, but next month. But we can do whatever you want, Matt. It's fine.
What if I want to do Adventures of Mana?
Oh, then we can do that.
That would be perfect. Isn't Jim going to Lollapalooza on Saturday?
Jim can show up or not show up, okay? Like,
Yeah.
he's a busy
Okay.
guy. There's 3 of us. That's enough.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, true.
Jim can write an essay for us to read.
No
for
shade.
That's a good
but-
idea.
No shade, but it is what it is.
$5 a month lets you vote on upcoming games. Their next vote is coming 2 games from now, so it'll be there this fall. And until then,
What's our next game?
Legend of Mana?
Legend of Mana. And then after that, it's going to be a
Mhm.
vote?
Well, no, I thought you wanted to do Dragon Quest. Wasn't that your choice?
No, that's Jim's choice.
Oh.
Yeah, Jim doesn't get a choice. It's going to be a
Okay.
vote.
Well, whatever. I'm fine with either one. Anyway, so there will be a vote this fall.
No, I agree. No, I agree. Because I think we finished Legend of Mana, and I think in like 4 or 5 episodes, and then I think we have time
Yeah.
to do Dragon Quest, which is going to take a while,
Mhm.
and then we have a vote game, and that finishes out the year. I mean, is there anything else that we're planning on doing?
No?
No.
Well, then I think that makes sense.
Okay.
hmm And then it shall be BioWary again.
Yeah.
Happy day.
What are we
So-
doing for BioWary?
Dragon Age.
Oh, Dragon Age 2?
You don't want to do Jade Empire?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I
Well-
agree that we should focus on the sequels to the games that we've been playing.
All
Jade
right.
Empire,
Mhm.
I don't think we should touch until we've done Mass Effect 3 and Dragon Age 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, friends. So also for Patreon, we will read the names of 40 lucky patrons, and we're trying to get through making sure that throughout a few episodes we cover everybody. So don't worry if you don't get on it. We got holding out for you. We're gonna make sure you get
Yeah.
on. it.
You'll be like once a month. You're going to hear that name. We're just so happily blessed with patrons that we just can't read them all anymore.
Yep.
I would
It
say
hurts our
we're
little
also
tootsies.
seeking ideas on a better way to do this that will make everyone happy.
Okay.
Are we?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
why are we doing 40? Like, what is that, arbitrary? Just because there's 4 of us and 10 apiece?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if the patrons all agreed that, like, just reading the names that reference the game made sense?
Well, then all of them would change their name to reference the game, and we'd be reading the whole thing again.
Well, but then that would be worthwhile.
All right, can we discuss this off air?
Yes.
This is a long episode already.
All right, Vanessa's going to read Jim's portion and then her own portion. Vanessa, go.
Hey, that's not fair.
Life's not fair. Vanessa, go.
Kingdom Farts Pooh, Eric Picamini, Eric Garby, Andy Smith, Hexagon, Florius Jonas Kramer, George Brady, Gage Lacherte, Gregory Wolf. Every Vanessa's mom is a precious treasure. Now Matt is going to read my portion.
No,
Go.
Matt walked away.
Matt has spoken less than anyone in this episode, and yet he wants to read the fewest names. How is that fair? Welcome to Cute Boy Jail, Honk Honk, Randy Nawford, Armin Hammer, Hudson Roth, Ian Frederick, Isaac Wright, Taking Me to Your Grandstaff, Jack Mizell, and Jake Dickerson.
I guess I'm going to read Matt's.
Now it's time for Matt's names.
You're welcome. Oh, okay. So, Matt, for this one, read it in a husky voice like, "You're very welcome." And that will be the reference.
Husky. 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 Hang on.
Wimpy, wimpy, wimpy.
Matthew Potamus? Jesus. I know I'm fat, John, but you don't have to fucking tell me I'm fat.
Jeez.
You're every welcome, Valerie. You're every welcome. What the fuck is this, John?
Just read it as is. It's
You're
correct.
every welcome, Valerie. Act now and see if you can stand to talk to me for more than 4 seconds.
That was really good, actually.
Metal Gear Solid 1 in 2021. Jason Timms mixed a batch. Wah wah wee wah. Huxley Iguana. D. Jethro. I am immortal. I have inside me blood of Kayam. That's a good one. Jonathan Ellsworth.
I'd like to thank Josh and Julio are the cutest, Joshua Bennett. Chief Hazard built a robot of Kinky Sam Elliott to land the Square Roots team of Bad Dragon sponsorship. Justin Rash, John Scala, Joshua W. Broxson, Devin Sloan, Kevin Walter. Vanessa's mom writes down whatever Vanessa did that day on a leaf. And Verbatime Burger Time.
Verbatime Burger Time.
Send us an email. You know our email address. It's squarerootspodcast@gmail.com. You can also go on our Facebook group. It's our Square Roots podcast group for smart, cool, very attractive people. Or tweet at Vanessa at Square Roots Pod. You can also rate,
Tweet at me.
review, and subscribe on iTunes, Ghana, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Also Spotify, I guess.
Hey, Spotify listeners, if you're looking for more episodes that are on Spotify, do a look on the other places. You might find a podcast.
Do a
Great
look.
job. All right, for Square Roots, I've been Johnny Brandon.
I'm Matthew Van Zant.
I'm Sir Banks, and I like to wear a black tie and a black shirt.
What the
Aw.
fuck was that?
You want to dress like
You
a
know,
waiter.
thought
I
it
think
looked
I'm gonna have to
good.
delete that whole thing. That conversation started before the show started.
Yep. Put it at the end.
Put it at the end.
Yeah. And
But
that
also, can we talk about how
literally-
he was wearing a black shirt with black pants and a black tie?
He looked like a waiter.
thought-
It was hilarious.
Yeah. He looked like
Jim
a
didn't
fucking
ask
Olive
us,
Garden waiter.
should I wear this black shirt and this black pants? He asked us, should I wear this,
Oh, also,
sort of
can we
chic-looking
talk about
black
how
tie?
Vanessa recommended that
this
he wear the
tie
black tie with
with
black
polka
pants and
dots?
black shirt? Like,
Uh-huh,
Vanessa,
I
the
preferred
fuck
that
is wrong with
tie.
you?
Vanessa wants him to look like a
I don't
magician.
Why do you
It's
have to
not a
look like
question of how does
magician?
the tie, do you like the tie? It's a question of do you like the tie with the outfit? And the outfit was all black. Vanessa?
I like all black. I think it's a good look.
Yes, we know.
All right. Well, yeah, we know.
that.
I
You're
mean,
like that-
Chris Angel is her fucking husband. So.
No, David Copperfield.
Yeah. Chris Angel is a mind freak and not a magician. Get it straight.
David Copper Mind.
We should watch do a bonus episode watching that Magic Train movie, the horror movie, which has David Copperfield.
I would love that.
Bye.
Bye.